Chapter 12:18. Red Oriole was right next to Longyu. When she saw Longyu frown, she knew that he did not know what the space-time tunnel was. However, this was also considered normal. After all, the space-time corridor was not something that ordinary cultivators could see. Although Longyu's cultivation and combat talent was very good, his martial arts realm and cultivation were still too low. It was completely normal that he had not seen many things. Red Oriole explained to Longyu with a solemn expression. The space-time tunnel is something created by gathering the power of the 5 elements. It is similar to the space-time mark, but its nature is still different. After Red Oriole's explanation, Longyu finally knew what the space-time tunnel was. It turned out that the space-time tunnel was based on the space-time mark and added the power of the 5 elements to build a tunnel that could cross time and space and connect the 2 ends of the vast world. It was an extremely convenient way to travel. However, the energy required to build a space-time tunnel was too great. It was so great that even a cultivator at Red Oriole's level could not build a space-time tunnel. Even if there were 100 or 1,000 Red Orioles, they would not be able to build a space-time tunnel. Of course, the construction of a space-time tunnel was a very complicated matter. Red Oriole did not even understand the principles, so it was naturally impossible for her to build one. Not to mention the level of energy required to build a space-time tunnel. The key was that she did not understand the principles, so it was impossible for her to succeed no matter what. So it's a super long-distance teleportation portal. Longyu understood from Red Oriole's words that a huge price had to be paid in order to build a teleportation portal. According to Red Oriole, even a demigod would not be able to build a space-time tunnel on their own. Since that was the case, the space-time tunnel that had appeared in this place was very dangerous for Longyu, Dao Qing, and the other cultivators who had come as reinforcements. The Ice God clan had spent so much effort to build a space-time tunnel in the absolute ice seal formation. They must be plotting a lot. If it's just to stop us from sending the glyph of fierce fire to the front lines, there's no need to build a space-time tunnel at all. It seems that this space-time tunnel is a big plan of the Ice God clan, Dao Qing said in a deep voice. All the cultivators who came to the end of the ice passage and saw the entrance of the space-time tunnel looked extremely serious. Because the appearance of the space-time tunnel here meant that the super experts of the Ice God clan could come here at any time. Everyone knew that this space-time tunnel must lead to the place where the Ice God clan gathered. On the other side of the space-time tunnel, there must be countless strong warriors of the Ice God clan. Not necessarily. The space tunnel might have been built by the strong warriors of the Ascetic Alliance. It might not have been built by the Ice God clan. A nearby third phase great sovereign expert said with a serious expression. However, even though this person had made such a guess, even he didn't believe it. After all, the possibility of this guess being true was too small. The Ascetic Walker Alliance had sent more than 200 great sovereigns this time. It was almost impossible to construct a space-time tunnel with just 200 great sovereigns, unless there was a demigod among them. However, how could a super expert in the demigod level be seen so easily? If there was a demigod in the escort team of the Ascetic Walker Alliance, how could they be stopped here by the Ice God clan? Moreover, demigod experts usually wouldn't make a move easily, unless it was a major battle that concerned the survival and development of the demon clan. Therefore, under the current situation, this space-time tunnel was very likely built by the strong warriors of the Ice God clan. As for the end of this space-time tunnel, no one knew where it was. Should we go in? In front of the space-time tunnel, everyone began to hesitate. Faced with the current situation, most of them had lost their courage. No one knew whether they would encounter the main force of the Ice God clan after passing through the space-time tunnel. If that happened, they would walk right into the trap and be killed by the other party. If they died like that, it would be meaningless. If the risk factor of a cultivator breaking into the absolute ice ceiling formation was 1, then the risk factor of entering the space-time tunnel was definitely more than 10. In other words, after entering the space-time tunnel, their chances of survival would be reduced to close to 0. It was more than appropriate to describe what they were going to do next as having a 90% chance of survival. We're already here. If we don't go in, we'll be doing ourselves a disservice. The Ice God clan is a great enemy of the Demon clan. Although we don't know what schemes they have, we must stop them no matter what. The leader of the third phase Great Dominator team, who was walking at the front, turned around and glanced at the more than 50 people present. He said resolutely and bravely, "We're not fighting alone. I believe that there are still seniors of the Ascetic Walker Alliance in front of us. Right now, it's very likely that they need help. Since we're already here, if you're willing to fight, then follow me, Lei Han, into the space-time tunnel. If we can destroy one of the Ice God clan's plans this time, I, Lei Han, will personally give you a reward that will satisfy everyone. Do you believe in me, Lei Han?" It's Lei Han. Everyone in the surroundings was stunned when they heard him, and this included Dao Qing and the others. At this moment, all of them were flabbergasted. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He saw that the third phase Great Dominator, who called himself Lei Han, had actually begun to change his appearance. Originally, this person looked delicate and pretty, but his true appearance was that of a blind man. However, his entire body was covered in a deep purple lightning, and his aura was extremely strong. "Who is Lei Han?" Long Yu asked Red Oriole softly. "I didn't think it would actually be him. I really didn't recognize him at first." Red Oriole had a somewhat happy expression on her face as she said to Long Yu, "This Lei Han is actually already at the fifth phase Great Dominator realm. He's practically the strongest existence in the world. Although there's still a gap between him and demigods and peak Great Dominators like Master Bai Yun, he's already stronger than my cousin Shuai Luo. This guy, his wife was killed by the Ice God clan, so he has an unforgettable hatred for the Ice God clan. Fifth phase Great Dominator. That's right, I still haven't asked you. How many phases are there in the Great Dominator realm?" Hearing this, Long Yu was somewhat puzzled, but he still asked. This kind of question was probably known by everyone except him, right? There's a total of 7 phases. Above the 7th phase Great Dominator is the peak of the demigod realm. Red Oriole glanced at Long Yu and laughed delicately. "You're quite ambitious. You still want to step into the demigod realm, right? But that's how it should be. This is the man that my Blood Demon clan's princess has taken a fancy to. Demigod." Hearing this, Long Yu murmured in his heart. Was his goal really to become a demigod, or to surpass the demigod realm and reach a realm that no one had reached yet? Long Yu didn't know, but his ultimate goal had always been to explore the origin of this world, as well as the reason why he had transmigrated to this world. If he wanted to achieve this goal, perhaps even a demigod would not be able to do it. Shaking his head, Long Yu didn't think too much about it. In any case, the most important thing right now was to enter the space-time tunnel and see what the Ice God clan was up to. With Lei Han around, if the whole thing was successful, the reward would definitely not be a problem. It was just that it was a little dangerous to participate. Moreover, Lei Han was a 5th phase Great Dominator and had a blood feud with the Ice God clan. He would definitely be the most reliable at the critical moment. Even if it was Dao Qing, Tian Tsang, Hai Shu, and the others, Long Yu didn't particularly trust them. In a life-and-death situation, would Dao Qing and the others still take care of Long Yu? Long Yu really couldn't be bothered to think about it. This was a question that he knew the answer to even if he used his but to think. "Then follow us in. Anyway, we can't retreat even if we want to. Since that's the case, we can only move forward. Although the danger is too high, if we succeed, the reward will definitely not disappoint us. It might even allow us to break through to the next level of cultivation. Yes, it is too difficult for us to improve our martial arts realm now. If we enter the space-time tunnel and encounter some fierce battles, it is very likely that we will break through the bottleneck that has existed for many years. With Senior Lei Han here, our safety can still be somewhat guaranteed. The Ice God clan is a great enemy of our Demon clan. How can we retreat? Senior Lei Han, just lead the way, and we will follow behind. If there is any battle, we must let the Ice God clan taste the power of our Demon clan experts. Under Lei Han's encouragement, the atmosphere gradually became lively. Soon, almost everyone present expressed that they would continue to move forward. There was no other way. In addition to moving forward, the only thing they could do was to wait here. That way, when the others entered the space-time tunnel, they would still be in danger. No one knew whether there were experts of the Ice God clan lurking in the absolute ice seal formation. At this time, it was safer to follow the main group. Although this time, if they were unlucky, they would all be annihilated. But with Leihan around, it still gave everyone a lot of confidence. Leihan's reputation was so high, not only because of his martial arts realm, but also because of his special character of paying attention to brotherhood. Many people respected Leihan very much when they heard his name. It is said that Senior Leihan has rich experience in the process of killing the Ice God clan. This time, I would like to ask you, how can we deal with the Ice God clan's opponents? Chapter 1219. Although many people wanted to know if Leihan had a special way to kill the Ice God clan, Long Yu silently shook his head. He knew that there was no special way to deal with the Ice God clan. Otherwise, the method would have been widely spread, and Leihan wouldn't be the only one who knew about it. If Leihan really had a better way to deal with the Ice God clan, it would be because of his rich experience. He had read thousands of books, and his writing was like a god, a butcher dismembering an ox, and it was easy for him to do it. Anyone who did the same thing many times would naturally be able to do it better than others. There was no need to doubt this. Therefore, Long Yu did not have much hope that Leihan would be able to teach everyone a better way to deal with the Ice God clan. Of course, Long Yu still respected Leihan. After all, he knew from Red Oriole that Leihan could be said to be a great enemy of the Ice God clan. He had killed at least 10 million Ice God clan cultivators, and at least 10,000 Ice God clan cultivators were in the sovereign secret realm. This kind of result made Long Yu feel admiration for Leihan. No matter what, this guy was very obsessed with finding revenge on the Ice God clan, and he had killed so many Ice God clan cultivators. He was a great hero in the demon race's territory. I'm sorry, everyone. I believe you all know the way to kill the Ice God clan. As for whether I have a shortcut or not, you will be disappointed. I don't. Sure enough, as Long Yu had guessed, Leihan, whose body was flickering with deep purple lightning, said in a deep voice, "There are only two ways to kill the Ice God clan faster. The first is to break through to a higher realm and become stronger. The second is to kill more Ice God clan cultivators. Practice makes perfect. There is no other way." This statement disappointed many people, but it didn't make them lose confidence in exploring the space-time tunnel. After all, following Leihan would guarantee their safety. Leihan was publicly recognized as a strong person who was loyal to his friends. Even if the Ice God clan had a seventh-phase sovereign, Leihan had a way to deal with them. We came to the depths of the absolute ice ceiling formation, but we didn't see any cultivators or Ice God clan cultivators. We only saw the space-time tunnel. I'm afraid the Ascetic Alliance and the Ice God clan have already stepped into the space-time tunnel. It's better if we hurry and catch up. Hopefully, we can help the Ascetic Alliance. After saying this, Leihan led his team into the space-time corridor. There were more than 10 people in total. Soon, they disappeared from everyone's sight and walked into the space-time corridor, which was shining with the power of the 5 elements at the beginning of the world. Next were Dao Qing and Long Yu's team. There were 13 people in total. They followed Leihan's team into the space-time tunnel. When the people behind saw Long Yu, they couldn't help but start whispering, "Look at that kid. He's only a 5-star emperor. I didn't expect him to dare to come to such a place. He's really a newborn calf who doesn't fear tigers. He's just courting death. Even our great sovereign can't guarantee his own survival in such a place. If there's any danger, a 5-star emperor won't have any ability to survive. He'll be killed by the power of the divine characters in one move." I think so too, but the woman next to him is not bad. She looks familiar. She seems to be a famous expert of the Blood Demon clan. That's the princess of the Blood Demon clan. She followed Commander Shualuo to the 3rd outer domain galaxy. I didn't expect her to accept this mission. In that case, the kid next to her should be the man of the Blood Demon princess. Haha, ridiculous. The dignified Blood Demon princess actually chose a 5-star emperor as her man. Ridiculous. There are still many people who recognize the identities of Long Yu and Red Oriole. However, Long Yu and Red Oriole didn't care much about it. Red Oriole naturally didn't care about what others said. From the moment she decided to choose Long Yu, she was prepared to face the gossip. As for Long Yu, although he didn't care much about what others said, he still had his own opinions. However, he wasn't discouraged or angry because it was useless. The only thing he could do was to become stronger. The two of them followed Dao Qing and the others and soon arrived at the entrance of the space-time tunnel. They were ready to step into it. At this moment, everyone was very nervous because no one knew what they would encounter after entering the space-time tunnel. At this moment, Red Oriole suddenly thought of something and whispered to Long Yu, "Oh right, didn't you want to upgrade the grade of your Nether Dragon Blade? Now, the opportunity is here." Opportunity is here? What do you mean? Long Yu's eyes lit up and he hurriedly asked. The Nether Dragon Blade was the only combat weapon that had reached the unparalleled realm and had developed its own consciousness. If he could upgrade its grade, then Long Yu could still use it as his main weapon in battle. Otherwise, as Long Yu's strength increased, the Nether Dragon Blade would probably be eliminated. It's the primeval origin. The space-time tunnel is made from the power of the primeval 5 elements, and it's a spatial passageway that runs through the power of the primeval 5 elements. I've heard that in the space-time tunnel, precious materials that are made from the power of the primeval 5 elements often appear. The primeval origin is one of them. If you're lucky, you might be able to find some. Of course, the chances aren't high, but there's a slight possibility. Red Oriole explained to Long Yu. Long Yu was pleasantly surprised. Who would have guessed that the space-time passageway would produce primeval essence? With it, he would be able to combine it with the Nether Void Dragon Dagger and push it from the Archean level to the Archean level. In fact, he might even be able to reach the unbounded level. In that case, the Nether Void Dragon Blade would become one of Long Yu's strongest techniques, and not just a foil like it was now. And the power of the Nether Void Dragon Blade was something that Long Yu had seen before. It could perform soul absorption, soul explosion, spatial penetration, void teleportation, void burial, and other powerful techniques. Soul absorption and soul explosion were pretty much useless right now. After all, Long Yu's opponents were all very strong, and their souls were too strong for him to absorb. Spatial piercing had been replaced by the Duankong Sacred Spring, which was an unbounded grade fighter. Compared to the Duankong Sacred Spring, it wasn't nearly as effective as the Duankong Sacred Spring. That said, the Void Traversal and Void Burial were still powerful moves that Long Yu would occasionally use. If he could upgrade the Nether Dragon Blade to the unbounded grade, then Void Traversal would allow Long Yu to travel a much greater distance in the blink of an eye. Combined with his innate mystic ability, the 9 Serenities Path, there wouldn't be any spatial barrier that could stop him. Void Burial, on the other hand, was a powerful move that was condensed from the power of the Void. If the Nether Dragon Blade was upgraded to the unbounded grade, then the power it could unleash would definitely surpass that of the 9 Serenities Dragon Breath. That would be the strongest attack Long Yu could unleash. Of course, upgrading the Nether Dragon Blade to the unbounded grade was still very difficult. Not only would it require a lot of primeval essence, but it would also require a powerful weaponsmith. Wei Yiyin might be good, but the most she could do was forge a supreme grade, unbounded grade fighter weapon. Upgrading the Nether Dragon Blade to the supreme grade, unbounded grade would not be easy. Forget it, there's no point in thinking too much about it. Let's get the primeval essence first. As long as I have it, upgrading the Nether Dragon Blade to the supreme grade, unbounded grade would be pretty good. Long Yu didn't think too much about it. He followed Red Oriole into the space-time tunnel. At the moment, he had a supreme grade, unbounded grade fighter weapon, the ancient Dragon Bone Tower, which he had yet to use after fully repairing it. Apart from that, he also had the Dragon Blood Sacred Painting and the Duankong Sacred Spring. Both of them were high-grade, unbounded grade fighters, and although they were not as powerful as the ancient Dragon Bone Tower, they were still Long Yu's main means of attack. If he could upgrade the Nether Dragon Blade to the supreme grade, unbounded grade, it would definitely be a great help to Long Yu. Most importantly, It had developed its own little illusionary soul, and its battle awareness was far superior to that of other fighters. The space-time tunnel was made up of the five-colored primeval five elements. It was a passageway in the void, and the divine runes of space were arranged irregularly. No one knew how long a space-time tunnel was, because there was no concept of length in space-time tunnels. The common view was that the space-time tunnel was just a chaotic space, and through this chaotic space, one could connect two directions in the great world, and thus travel a super long distance. It was not easy to pass through a space-time tunnel. Even if it was a stable space-time tunnel, there would still be a lot of the primeval five elements energy that would interfere with the cultivators passing through, preventing them from finding the exit of the space-time tunnel. As soon as Long Yu, Red Oriole, and the others stepped into the space-time tunnel, their eyes lit up, and they found themselves in a colorful void. As far as the eye could see, the primeval five elements energy was everywhere, forming vortexes that slowly rotated in the distance. Lei Han's team, who had come in before them, was waiting not far away. Everyone, stay close to the space-time tunnel, or you might get lost. After all, the divine runes of space here are very chaotic, so don't wander around randomly. If you want to successfully complete the mission, you'd better follow closely. Lei Han shouted at the crowd. In this place, no one dared to act recklessly. What a joke, because the slightest carelessness could cost them their lives. In addition, Lei Han was a very dignified person to begin with, so the surrounding cultivators all nodded in agreement, planning to follow his orders. Chapter 1220. In the face of Lei Han's gaze, Long Yu appeared to be rather calm. He was not someone who would belittle himself in the first place, and had sufficient confidence in himself. Even someone as powerful as Lei Han's gaze would not cause Long Yu to feel embarrassed in the slightest. On the contrary, Long Yu faintly smiled and slightly nodded to Lei Han as a form of greeting. This scene caused Lei Han to be a little surprised. He didn't expect this human brat to be so daring. It seems that he is very confident in himself. Since he can come with Dao Qing and the others, there should be something special about him. Lei Han did not recognize Red Oriole, but he was quite familiar with Dao Qing and the others who had been in the third outer domain galaxy for a long time. Since he had a good impression of Dao Qing and the others, he did not think too much about Long Yu. I have already sensed the location of the battle. Should we hurry over? Red Oriole activated her balance control and the detection ability that she had learned. She quickly opened her beautiful eyes and asked Long Yu, Dao Qing, and the others. There's no need to hurry over. However, your senses are much sharper than most of us. Impressive. Dao Qing laughed, then shook his head and said, with just a few of us, we definitely won't be able to defeat them. Let's wait for the other teams to come in and then follow Lei Han. Yes. Red Oriole nodded upon hearing this. She was originally afraid that Dao Qing would be jealous of Lei Han. After all, they were both members of the battlefield army mercenaries, so it was natural for Dao Qing to be jealous. However, Dao Qing did not disappoint Red Oriole and decided to follow Lei Han. This was the correct attitude when training outside. One must know that there was always someone better than one. Otherwise, one would end up like the third prince of the Golden Flood Dragon Goblin clan. Now, the handsome young man from the Divine Wood Monster tribe, Han Hen, seemed to be jealous of Long Yu. This kind of person was destined to not live long. It was highly possible that Han Hen was sent out by the Divine Wood Monster tribe to gain experience. Unfortunately, his strength was not good enough, and he was not a likable person. If he continued to stay in the third outer domain galaxy, his future would not be so smooth. Fortunately, Dao Qing wasn't so narrow-minded. Even if there were people present who were willing to obey Lei Han's orders, Dao Qing didn't have any objections, because they were stronger than him and possessed more prestige than him. So, obeying Lei Han's orders wasn't something shameful. Red Oriole secretly admired Dao Qing. Of course, this admiration was different from her fondness for Long Yu. She could tell that Dao Qing was more reliable. Do you feel their battle aura? Let's bring the two of them over to take a look. At this time, Lehan led the two second-stage Dominator experts in his team and arrived in front of Red Oriole. He was surprised and delighted by Red Oriole's words. One had to know that even Lehan, a fifth-stage Dominator, was unable to sense where the battle was going on in the space-time tunnel. However, a first-stage Dominator girl was able to sense it. Of course, Lehan was shocked. In terms of basic strength, as a fifth-stage Dominator, Lehan was definitely 10 times stronger than a first-stage Dominator like Red Oriole. However, in terms of perception, he was slightly inferior to Red Oriole. Of course, this was because Red Oriole had cultivated the third stage of the Marshall Path secret technique, balance control. It was also the detection secret technique that Long Yu had imparted to her. Compared to innate abilities, the Marshall Path secret technique was definitely superior. No matter who it was, the detection ability was nothing compared to balance control. Although Red Oriole had only cultivated balance control to the third stage, her perception had already surpassed the majority of Dominator experts. This caused Long Yu to realize something. The Marshall Path secret technique seemed to be an important factor that affected a cultivator's actual combat strength. After reaching the Dominator realm, it was extremely difficult to increase one's cultivation. However, if one cultivated a certain Marshall Path secret technique, they would be able to leave others several streets behind in certain aspects. There's no need to talk about the effects of balance control. The worldly purity body allows me to be immune to the majority of mental and control techniques. It has a miraculous effect when dealing with certain opponents, and it also increases my chances of survival. As for the Devil Dust Heart, there's no need to talk about it. It's the most important trump card to turn defeat into victory. Long Yu analyzed the 3 Marshall Path secret techniques that he had obtained from the Jiuyo Dragon Emperor. Every one of them had a specific effect that allowed Long Yu to greatly improve in certain aspects. These Marshall Path secret techniques were undoubtedly extremely precious. Apart from Long Yu and Red Oriole, even the most basic balance control was something that very few people, apart from Long Yu and Red Oriole, could cultivate. If Long Yu's cultivation increased by himself, just by relying on these 3 Marshall Path secret techniques as a foundation, he would be able to develop a faction that was definitely not weaker than the Blood Demon race. The importance of Marshall Path secret techniques could be seen from this. 2 second-stage Dominators arrived in front of Red Oriole. These 2 were members of Lehan's team. They seemed to be twins, 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators. When they transformed into human forms, they had very sharp beaks. Their appearances were rather unique. Come with me. Little brother dragon, you come with us too. For safety's sake, let's go to my small world first. Red Oriole nodded at the 2 of them. Then, she raised her hand and gathered the power of her world, taking Long Yu into her small world. Then, she led the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators in Lehan's team and flew rapidly toward the source of the battle fluctuations that they had sensed. The others first gathered at the entrance of the space-time tunnel. It would definitely be much safer if 100 people moved together. Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators were the vanguard. Their main task was to scout. You must be the princess of the Blood Demon race. You've actually stepped into the Great Ruler Realm. Congratulations! One of the Thunderbird demonic cultivators seemed to have recognized Red Oriole. Do you recognize me? Red Oriole was a little puzzled. 5 years ago, the 2 of us were training near the Blood Demon Galaxy. At that time, we encountered some difficulties. It was our friends from the Blood Demon race who helped us. Therefore, we have some understanding of the Blood Demon race. The other Thunderbird demonic cultivator said with a smile. His voice was a little sharp. It was not that his tone was bad, but that his voice had always been like this and could not be changed. For the 2 of us, the Blood Demon race is our benefactor. If we encounter any danger, we will cover the rear for your highness. But who is the young human that you took into your small world just now? The Thunderbird demonic cultivators seem to be quite concerned about this question. He's my man. Although his current martial arts realm is not very high, his combat talent and potential are not bad. Red Oriole smiled. Since the other party had been shown kindness by the Blood Demon race, it was much easier for them to talk. With this relationship, Red Oriole did not have to worry about whether she would say anything that would offend the other party. Your Highness has found a young human as a partner. It seems that this young man must be extraordinary. I'm looking forward to it. The two Thunderbird demonic cultivators did not have any expressions of disdain. Instead, they were laughing. It seemed that they were looking forward to seeing Longyu. After all, they knew a lot about the Blood Demon race. They also knew a thing or two about Red Oriole's personality. If it was not for the fact that there was something special about the young human, Her Highness would definitely look down on him. If there's a chance, we will definitely meet. Perhaps he will be able to do a lot of things during this mission. Red Oriole said with a smile. She was filled with pride for Longyu. Although Longyu's absolute strength was not strong, he was definitely one of the best among cultivators of the same cultivation level. The scene of him killing the demon ancestor's origin spirit when dealing with the geniuses of the White Feather Monstrous clans, 4 great demon clans, was still fresh in Red Oriole's memory. It had even scared the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous clan's second prince so much that he did not dare to come and avenge his younger brother. From this, one could see Longyu's combat talent and potential. Furthermore, this was not all of Longyu's potential. Red Oriole could already tell that one of Longyu's innate abilities was extremely powerful. Even if he were to face the pursuit of a Sovereign Realm expert, he might not necessarily die. Longyu was currently in Red Oriole's small world. Thus, he naturally did not know what the 3 people outside were talking about. Furthermore, he was not too interested in it. He was just a bit worried about Red Oriole's safety. However, it was useless for him to worry at the moment. Thus, inside Red Oriole's small world, Huang Xiaolong continued to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy in an attempt to raise the level of the Devil Dust Heart. If he could cultivate it to the 3rd level, the speed of his fleshly body's reconstruction would be even faster. He might even gain some special abilities. The improvement of the Devil Dust Heart was still a long way off. Outside the small world, inside the space-time tunnel, Red Oriole and the 2 lightning bird-beast cultivators were advancing. Soon, they arrived at an area where the 5 elements energy of the absolute beginning was relatively chaotic. In this area, various kinds of divine characters were continuously condensing and exploding. Many tyrannical existences appeared in front of the 3 people. It's really here. One of the lightning bird beast cultivators' face sank. He saw countless experts of the Ice God clan. There were at least 1,000 of them, and all of them were existences in the Sovereign Secret Realm or above. Half of them were even Grand Sovereigns. They were actually besieging another group of humans and beasts. Clearly, that group was the Bitterwalker Alliance. The space-time tunnel was created by the Ice God clan. No one knew where it led to, but it was obvious that it led to the Ice God clan's territory. Therefore, it was too easy for the Ice God clan to send reinforcements to the space-time tunnel. On the contrary, the exit of the space-time tunnel in the beast territory was blocked by the absolute ice sealing array. It was not easy to step into the space-time tunnel. This time, only 100 people had entered the space-time tunnel. Such a small number of people was not much of a threat to the 1,000 Ice God clan experts. Chapter 1221. Red Oriole and the 2 lightning bird Yao cultivators looked at the situation, and their expressions became extremely grave. The Ice God clan was gathering in the space-time tunnel, and they were temporarily besieging the people from the Ascetic Walker Alliance. But they definitely had a follow-up plan. The biggest possibility was that they would directly invade the borders of the Demon Clan through this space-time tunnel. The Ice God clan hadn't sent enough experts from the other side of the space-time tunnel, so they hadn't taken any action yet. Moreover, the Ascetics Alliance was blocking their way. But if there were no accidents, the Ice God clan would definitely launch an army to invade the alien clan's battlefield closest to the 3rd outer galaxy, or even invade the 3rd outer galaxy. This was something that had never happened in the past thousands of years. The 3 outer galaxies outside the demon race's territory were very secure. If it was a normal invasion from the foreign race's battlefield, A dozen or so battlefield fortresses would be enough to stop all the enemies outside. But if they went through the space-time tunnel, they would be able to enter the deepest part of the Demon Clan's territory, which would cause immeasurable damage to the Demon Clan. Moreover, if they carried out this plan, they could also stop the Ascetics Alliance from escorting a large number of fierce fire symbols to the front line. It was a wonderful plan that killed two birds with one stone. From this, it could be seen that the Ice God clan must have an extremely wise general commanding the army in this battle, and the troops they sent this time were extremely terrifying. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to create the space-time tunnel. Once the space-time tunnel is created, no force can destroy it. It can only wait for the time to run out, and then the space-time tunnel will collapse on its own. Hong Ying's pretty face was extremely solemn. The space-time tunnel has just appeared, and according to my observation, it will probably last for at least 3 more days. During these 3 days, countless experts of the Ice God clan and the territory of the Ice God clan will enter through the space-time tunnel and try to attack the third outer domain galaxy. Yes, the situation doesn't look good. This space-time tunnel leads to the Ice God clan's hinterland, and their troops can be said to be endless. On our side of the space-time tunnel, we're in the alien clan's battlefield. Although we're close to the third outer galaxy, we can't send as many troops as the Ice God clan. One of the Thunderbird monster cultivators said in a deep voice, "I didn't expect the Ice God clan to create a space-time tunnel to deal with us." Take a closer look. The other lightning bird demonic cultivator narrowed his eyes and said in a sharp voice, "Right now, we are facing the Ice God clan that is attacking the Bitterwalker Alliance." Those 1,000 Sovereign Realm experts aren't part of the Ice God clan's army. On the contrary, they seem to be a ragtag bunch. It seems like the Ice God clan wants these people to scout the path ahead. The main force is still behind them. Hearing this, Red Oriole raised her head and looked at the area where the battle was taking place. After careful observation, she found that it was indeed the case. The ice gods in front of her were not fighting in an orderly manner, and there were no rules or formations to speak of. Most of them were fighting in small groups. I'm afraid the thousands of ice gods are just like us, just the vanguard sent by the ice gods. So, overall, their fighting capacity is relatively weak. That's why they haven't killed all the brothers of the Ascetic Alliance. However, there are 5 times more of them, and their reinforcements are still coming. If we don't help them, I'm afraid the brothers of the Ascetic Alliance won't last long. After the first Thunderbird demonic cultivator finished speaking, he signaled Red Oriole and the other Thunderbird demonic cultivator to retreat. Right now, there are only 3 of them. Although their fighting capacity wasn't weak, it would be very troublesome if they were attacked by a small team of the Ice God clan. Moreover, the 3 of them wouldn't be of much use even if they joined the battle. Therefore, what they should do now was to retreat and report the situation to Lei Han and the others. Then, they would wait for Lei Han to give the order. Of course, they had to emphasize that the Ascetic Alliance couldn't wait much longer. At this moment, the Bitterwalker Alliance had more than 200 great Sovereign Realm experts, and they had suffered heavy losses. At least 10 of them were dead, and more than 50 of them were injured. Moreover, this was because the Ice God clan hadn't launched a fierce attack. Once the other side launched an all-out attack, the Ascetic Alliance's casualties would definitely increase significantly. Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators turned around and wanted to leave. Unfortunately, they were so close to the battle zone that they were observing. Naturally, they were seen by the other side. To the people of the Ascetic Alliance, the appearance of Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators was undoubtedly an announcement. That was, the demon race's reinforcements had arrived. Very soon, they would arrive at the battlefield in the space-time tunnel. This gave the experts of the Ascetic Alliance some hope. As for the Ice God clan, the moment they saw Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators, they knew that they were in trouble. However, they weren't worried. Instead, they treated Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators as prey. Several Ice God clan's great Sovereign Realm experts left the battlefield and rushed toward Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators. They wanted to kill the three of them first. Since Red Oriole and the Thunderbird demonic cultivators were great sovereign realm experts, the Ice God clan didn't act rashly in the ordinary sovereign secret realm experts. Only 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts rushed toward them. Among them, 3 were second-stage great sovereign realm experts. So fast, Red Oriole and the others wanted to leave as soon as possible, but they didn't expect the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts to be so much faster than them. One of the Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts turned into a stream of icy light, which increased the speed of the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts to the limit. This was a powerful, innate, divine ability that increased their flying speed. Your Highness, leave first. Report the situation here to Lord Leihan. When one of the Thunderbird demonic cultivators saw this, his face darkened, and he instantly transformed into his original form. A giant bird covered with deep purple lightning spread his wings, and with a sizzling sound, he flew toward the 6 Ice God clan sovereigns. The other Thunderbird demonic cultivator didn't hesitate either. He transformed into his true form along with his brother and charged toward the Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts. You guys, Red Oriole's face changed slightly. These 2 guys were asking her to escape alone while they were going to fight the Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts. There was no doubt that these 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators at the second stage Great Sovereign Realm would definitely die if they fought against the 6 Ice God clan's Great Sovereign Realm experts. Not to mention that there would be other experts rushing over soon. Red Oriole, of course, didn't want to see her own people being sacrificed in front of her eyes. She immediately spread her blood-colored wings and transformed into her true form, entering combat mode. It was a race against time. If they were stalled by the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts and couldn't kill them instantly, more experts would soon arrive and attack them. At that time, it would be impossible for them to escape. Therefore, Red Oriole didn't hesitate at all. She directly spread her blood-colored wings. She even extended her 6 demon blood wings as she charged toward the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts. This was her divine grade absolute beginning technique, which had been awakened to the 8th level. Because she wanted to save time and defeat her opponents as quickly as possible, Red Oriole used her strongest move right from the start. It was the 8th level of the 6 demon blood wings awakened, Bloody Rampage. The 3 pairs of wings of the 6 demon blood wings instantly fluttered and turned into 3 blood-colored lines that flew across the sky and shrouded the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts. Her speed was even faster than the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators. So fast. The 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators didn't expect Red Oriole to be so fast. She reacted a little later than them, but her attack was 1 step ahead of them. Moreover, the power of this move was a little beyond their imagination. This is divine grade absolute beginning technique. It has been awakened to the 6th level at the very least, or even higher. The 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators saw what Red Oriole had used at a glance. The next moment, the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts also reacted. The aura of endless ice divine characters instantly erupted, and the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereign realm experts displayed their defensive techniques at the same time. Ice barriers appeared one after another around them, forming a total of 6 layers of ice barriers that protected all 6 of them. If they were faced with an ordinary attack, they wouldn't be so cowardly and immediately use 6 layers of ice barriers to defend themselves. However, they weren't fools, and they naturally felt the terrifying destructive power contained in Red Oriole's move. If they didn't defend with all their strength, it was very likely that they would be wiped out in one fell swoop. Even the 6 layers of ice barriers weren't enough. One of the Ice God clan's experts at the second stage Great Sovereign Realm took out a divine grade absolute beginning technique from within his body. It was an ice ring, and as soon as it appeared, an incomparably thick layer of ice light condensed around it. Countless icy streams shot out in all directions, directly colliding with Red Oriole's bloody rampage. The 6 demon blood wings were 6 blood-colored whips condensed from a divine grade absolute beginning technique. In a short period of time, they tore through the void and attacked the 6 Ice God Clan's great sovereign realm experts. The first thing they encountered was the Ice Ring and the icy streams released by the divine grade absolute beginning technique. Break for me. Red Oriole raised her brows, and the 6 demon blood wings emitted a blood-colored light that soared into the sky. The 6 blood-colored whips lashed out, completely shattering the icy streams. Although she was currently only at the first stage Great Sovereign Realm, she had awakened the 6 demon blood wings to the 8th level, and its power was far greater than the divine grade absolute beginning technique controlled by the opponent. Chapter 1222. Demon Blood 6 Wings, the 8th level awakening. Red Oriole's absolute beginning divine quality absolute beginning technique carried a terrifying aura as she charged towards the 6 Ice God Clan sovereigns, instantly breaking the absolute beginning technique. Then, the 6 blood-colored whips smashed into the 6 ice barriers. Under the bombardment of the blood-colored whip shadows, the 6 ice barriers shattered, unable to withstand Red Oriole's tyrannical attack. Then, the 6 demon blood wings were activated once again, and countless whip shadows shot out one after another. The sky was filled with blood-colored light, completely covering the 6 Ice God Clan sovereigns. The 6 Ice God Clan's great sovereigns, including the 2 second-stage Great Sovereign Realm experts, were fully focused on Red Oriole's attack. Their hexagonal ice crystals radiated boundless power of ice divine characters, and all kinds of defensive and counterattack methods appeared. Ice divine characters and blood divine characters clashed in the void. Red Oriole was fighting 1 against 6, and her opponents were all experts of at least the same level of cultivation as her, but she was not at a disadvantage at all. For a moment, the 2 sides were evenly matched. This scene shocked the 2 Thunderbird beast cultivators. They didn't expect Red Oriole to be so powerful. She was able to resist the attack of the 6 Ice God Clan powerhouses by herself. This was something that even the 2 of them couldn't do. Since that was the case, they certainly wouldn't take the opportunity to escape. Anyway, the other experts of the Ice God Clan hadn't gotten close yet, so they still had enough time to help Red Oriole finish off her opponent. No matter what, they could not abandon Red Oriole and escape. Countless deep purple lightning bolts burst out from the void and actually gathered in the void, gradually forming a river of lightning. The divine characters of the 2 Thunderbird demon cultivators fused together and instantly became several times stronger. These 2 lightning bird demonic cultivators weren't ordinary demonic cultivators either. As twin brothers, they were actually able to fuse their own strength with each other's, thus producing the effect of 1 + 1 = 3. It was an extremely powerful technique. Fusing the power of divine characters wasn't difficult, but the key was that the 2 sides had comprehended the same nature of the power. Otherwise, there would be a conflict between the 2 powers, and they wouldn't be able to erupt with more power. Instead, they might encounter some unpredictable situations. It was extremely rare for 2 people to comprehend the exact same divine runic energy. For example, Long Yu was certain that there was no one in this world who could comprehend the exact same divine runic energy as him. Not only did the divine runic energy have to be of the same attribute, but the degree of comprehension needed to be the same as well. Only then would they be able to fuse the divine runic energy together and erupt with an even greater strength. Now, the power of the 2 Thunderbird monster cultivators fused with each other, forming a dark purple river of lightning that surged toward the 6 Ice God Clan experts who were in a deadlock with Red Oriole. The dark purple thunderbolts surged, and the power gathered was 5 or 6 times stronger than that of the Thunderbird demonic cultivator. In an instant, it posed a threat to the 6 Ice God Clan warriors. The Ice God Clan's great sovereigns immediately reacted but they were now working together to resist Red Oriole's divine-grade absolute beginning weapon, so they didn't have the time to resist the attacks of the two Thunderbird Yao cultivators. Dying. The two Thunderbird Yao cultivators each let out a sharp cry, and the dark purple thunderbolts immediately enveloped the Ice God clan's great sovereigns. A terrifying destructive power instantly erupted. The power of the Ice God clan's great sovereigns flickered continuously from the dark purple thunderbolts, but they couldn't break through the thunderbolts. In the end, the power of the Ice God clan's great sovereigns became weaker and weaker, and the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns all died in such a fusion move. In fact, if the Ice God clan's great sovereigns used all their techniques, the two Thunderbird demonic cultivators at the second stage Great Sovereign Realm definitely wouldn't be a match for them. Fortunately, Red Oriole was there, and with her 8th level awakened divine-grade absolute beginning weapon, she restrained the power of the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns, allowing the two Thunderbird demonic cultivators to finally succeed. The cooperation between the 3 of them wasn't bad. Although it wasn't Red Oriole who killed the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns in the end, she undoubtedly contributed the most. She alone restrained more than 90% of the opponent's power, which resulted in them not being able to resist the dark purple thunderbolts at all. Once the Ice God great sovereigns diverted some of their strength to resist the dark purple lightning river, Red Oriole's demon blood 6 wings would immediately kill them on the spot. Thus, the Ice God great sovereigns had eaten the full power of the two Thunderbird Yao cultivators' attacks. Even with the strength of their bodies, they were ultimately unable to resist the terrifying destructive power. The 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns originally wanted to kill Red Oriole and the other 2 Thunderbird demonic blood 6 wings, but they didn't expect that they would be killed in an instant. This scene shocked the Ice God clan's experts in the distance. 3 against 6? And an instant kill. Most importantly, Red Oriole's cultivation was only at the first stage Great Sovereign Realm, yet she was able to hold back 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns by herself. It was simply unbelievable. Of course, the Ice God clan's camp also had experts of this level. However, the ones they had sent to the space-time tunnel were ordinary Ice God clan members. Naturally, there weren't any powerful existences at Red Oriole's level. Let's go, we can't stay here for long. Seeing that the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns had been killed, Red Oriole immediately turned around and left. She didn't dare to stay here any longer because there were already more Ice God clan's great sovereigns rushing over from afar. There were at least 20 or 30 of them. If they caught up to her, she wouldn't have any chance of survival. The 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators naturally knew that they had to retreat now. Just now, they'd been held back by the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns. They had wanted to sacrifice themselves so that Red Oriole could go back and report the news. But now, they naturally didn't need to sacrifice anyone. The 3 of them returned to the path they had come from at an extremely fast speed. In the distance, dozens of Ice God clan's great sovereigns directly chased after the 3 of them. In the colorful space-time tunnel, the distance between the 2 sides was getting shorter and shorter. In terms of speed, Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators were already very outstanding. However, among the group of Ice God clan's great sovereigns, there were a few who were particularly good at speed. They could even speed up the Ice God clan's great sovereigns beside them, causing their overall speed to surpass Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators. They were constantly shortening the distance between the 2 sides. This way, Red Oriole walked in the front, and the 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators followed behind her. Soon, they arrived at a place. Red Oriole used her balance control to sense for a while, then quickly changed directions. The 2 Thunderbird demonic cultivators didn't suspect Red Oriole because there was no time to doubt her. There were a total of more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns within reach. If they let their guard down, they would immediately be caught and torn to pieces. The reason why Red Oriole suddenly changed directions was that she felt that she had deviated from her original route. In the space-time tunnel, although it was only a tunnel, it was a very large area of space. If she went in the wrong direction, she would directly step into the chaotic space flow of time and space, drifting in it forever. Fortunately, her intuition was not bad. Using the third level of the balance control secret method, she sensed that there was a large group of demonic cultivators rushing over not far away. She clearly felt that the large group of demonic cultivators were reinforcements led by Lei Han, so she directly changed direction and flew in the direction from which Lei Han came. Behind her, the more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns were in hot pursuit. It seemed that they were determined to kill Red Oriole and the others, otherwise they wouldn't give up. Perhaps among the 6 Ice God clan's great sovereigns that Red Oriole and the Thunderbird demonic cultivators had just killed, some of the Ice God clan's great sovereigns were relatives and friends of the Ice God clan, which was why they were so persistent and even unknowingly fell into a trap. Soon, Red Oriole and the others were getting closer and closer to Lei Han and the others. The more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns behind her were already a little hesitant. Obviously, they had also sensed that if they continued forward, they would encounter more demonic race powerhouses. However, they seemed to be somewhat obsessed with Red Oriole and the others, and they seemed to be determined to catch up with them. In the end, these more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns stopped moving forward under the leadership of a few Ice God clan's great sovereigns. Instead, they turned around and fled as fast as they could. There were more than 30 of them in total, and as they got closer, they already sensed that the demonic race's reinforcements in front of them definitely exceeded their numbers. If the two sides met, the result would be obvious. However, it was too late for them to run now. Haha, still want to run? Lei Han's loud laughter directly exploded in the void, accompanied by a burst of purple lightning that bloomed in the void, directly appearing in the path of retreat of the more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns. The burst of purple lightning emitted a terrifying thunder pressure, instantly paralyzing the physical bodies of the more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns, rendering them unable to move at all. This was Lei Han's terrifying means. With his strength as a 5th stage great sovereign, a casual, innate magical ability was enough to completely paralyze the more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns and control them in the palm of his hand. Immediately after that burst of purple lightning, countless lightning bolts as thick as an arm roared and swept out, directly killing the more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns. With a terrifying destructive aura, it seemed like they were going to turn these Ice God clan's great sovereigns into ashes. Among the group of more than 30 Ice God clan's great sovereigns, the strongest was only a 3rd stage great sovereign. Even 3rd stage great sovereigns were gradually unable to resist Lei Han's attack, let alone the other Ice God clan's great sovereigns. In just the time for a single breath of time, only 3 3rd stage dominators remained, and they were still resisting with difficulty. All the other Ice God clan dominators had been blasted into nothingness by the violet lightning, and not even a trace of ash was left behind. Lei Han's strength is actually so strong. Chapter 1223. Everyone present was shocked by Lei Han's strength, including Long Yu, who had just come out of Oriole's small world. None of them had expected Lei Han to be able to kill more than 30 Ice God race sovereigns in one go. The Ice God clan's great dominator of this scale had once forced Long Yu and Dao Qing's team of 13 people to the brink of despair. But now, in front of Lei Han, they were so vulnerable that they could not even withstand a single blow. They were directly killed by one move and disappeared from this world. After the 30-odd Ice God clan sovereigns were killed, Red Oriole and the 2 Thunderbird Yao cultivators reported to Lei Han what they had discovered. What? There are 1,000 Ice God clan sovereign secret realm experts? After hearing Red Oriole's and Thunderbird's reports, everyone present was shocked. Over 1,000 Ice God clan sovereigns were a formidable force. Even if not all of them were great sovereigns, if they joined forces, they were still more than they could handle. Even for an expert like Lei Han, who could kill more than 30 Ice God clan sovereigns in an instant. That was his limit. If he were to face more than 1,000 Ice God clan sovereigns at the same time, there was only death awaiting him. Moreover, according to Red Oriole and the Thunderbird Beast Cultivator, the Ice God clan that had appeared now was just a miscellaneous army that had come to explore the way. The real experts of the Ice God clan's battlefield army had not yet entered this space-time tunnel. If the enemy's vanguard consisted of several thousand Sovereign Realm experts, how many experts would there be in the army? It was unimaginable. It seems that the Ice God clan has spent a lot of effort this time. I don't know what their specific goal is, but no matter what, we must stop all of them in the space-time corridor. We can't let them leave here and go to the third outer area galaxy near the territory of the Demon Clan. Otherwise, our Demon Clan will suffer heavy losses. While Lehan was talking, he was thinking about the next action plan. Soon, his eyes lit up and he proposed a plan. How about this? There are too many Ice God clan sovereigns' mysterious realm. Let's split into 2 teams and send some people to lure them into our ambush. Once they are lured into our ambush, we can kill them. We can kill 40 to 50 Ice God clan sovereigns' mysterious realm at a time. Just like when Her Royal Highness went there just now, she lured 30 Ice Gods over. As long as this goes on a few times, the thousands of Ice Gods will soon be killed by us. When Huang Xiaolong revealed his plan, many people nodded their heads inwardly. Under such circumstances, if they wanted to minimize their losses and kill more Sovereign Realm experts of the Ice God clan, as well as rescue the Bitterwalker Alliance, this was the only way. Admittedly, this kind of trick could not be used again and again. After all, the experts of the Ice God clan were all smart. Perhaps after 2 or 3 times, they would be noticed by the other side. But at this time, many of the Ice God clan's Sovereign Secret Realm experts had already been eliminated. Now, with the help of the 200 experts from the Bitterwalker Alliance, it would be easier to deal with the remaining experts. Although the Ice God clan was still sending people into the space-time tunnel in an endless stream, if Lehan's plan was successful, the speed at which the other party sent over would certainly be slower than the speed at which they killed the Ice God clan. In other words, the number of enemies in the space-time tunnel would continue to decrease. At this stage, under such circumstances, this was the only way to help them to the greatest extent. No one objected to Lehan's plan. If we want to successfully lure them, I think we can't repeat the situation just now. At the last moment, the other party was already on their guard. If not for Senior Lehan's help, I'm afraid that 1 or 2 of them would have escaped, and the situation would be very bad. One of the lightning bird beast cultivators said in a deep voice, "Yes, the method must be changed." Among the group, there was a powerful beast cultivator at the 4th phase Sovereign Realm. He was also a follower of Lehan. At this moment, he also suggested, "In my opinion, we can choose some people to lure the Ice God clan's Sovereign Secret Realm experts first. Then, the others will enter the small worlds of these people and hide. When the baited people have lured the Ice God clan's Sovereign Secret Realm experts far away from the main force of the Ice God clan, we will come out of the small worlds and directly kill them." This is a good idea, but the baited people need to be discussed carefully. Many people nodded and then raised new questions. If this plan was adopted, the baited people would be very important because the others would have to enter the small worlds of the baited people. If they were not careful, they would become the food on the plate of the baited people. Although the possibility was not high, if the baited people did something wrong, the people who entered the small worlds would have no way to resist. In other people's small worlds, being lured by the baited people was equivalent to being a god. Of course, these experts were extremely cautious about entering other people's small worlds because a careless mistake could lead to their deaths. Yes, the baited people must have credibility. Senior Lehan, you can count as one, but among the others here, no one else has the qualifications to make us believe. Many people said aloud, "Her Royal Highness can count as one." There were others who voiced their opinions. There is no doubt that the title of Princess of the Blood Demon Clan was very useful. Quite a few people trusted Red Oriole and were willing to enter her small world to ambush her. If you don't mind, I can also count as one. Think about it. I am only a 5-star emperor in the martial Dao realm. Even if I want to do something to you, I can't pose any threat to you, right? At this time, Long Yu also stood up and recommended himself. What he said was the truth. As a 5-star emperor, even if he was in his own small world, it was impossible for him to deal with 30 or 40 great sovereign realm experts at the same time. The other party could easily subdue Long Yu, destroy Long Yu's small world, and leave easily. When Long Yu said this, many people looked at him strangely. This 5-star emperor boy also dared to join the fun? In this case, what could a 5-star emperor boy do? I don't want to criticize you, but don't be so arrogant just because you are the man of Her Royal Highness. That's right. Even if you are the bait, can you guarantee that you won't be killed by those Ice God Clan experts? In that case, before we can come out of your inner world and kill the Ice God Clan experts, you will be killed by them first. That's right, that's right. 5-star Emperor is too weak. He is not qualified to be the bait. The others raised their objections. On one hand, they looked down on Long Yu's martial Dao realm. On the other hand, they were quite dissatisfied with the fact that Long Yu was Red Oriole's man. In their eyes, what did Long Yu have to deserve the favor of the princess of the Blood Demon clan? Then do you have any other better candidates? Red Oriole stood up at this time and said indifferently, "Let's not talk about anything else. In terms of survival ability, I am afraid Long Yu is much stronger than anyone else here. The trifling Ice God clan will not be able to catch up to him and kill him. If you want to say that Long Yu is the bait, I think the most inappropriate thing is that he looks too weak. He is so weak that he may not be able to attract the attention of the Ice God clan experts." That was true. Long Yu also burst into tears when he heard this. He met the requirements in all other aspects, but cultivation alone was enough to block Long Yu. But no matter what, Long Yu had to give it a try. Maybe many Ice God clan experts would be interested in Long Yu. Then we will split into 3 teams. This was a race against time. Lei Han could not waste time arguing with others, so he immediately made a decision. Her Highness, Long Yu, and I will be the bait for the first time. The princess and I will be the main force. As for Long Yu, he will be in the middle to provide support. The specific plan is like this. Her Highness and I will lure some Ice God clan experts out of the battlefield. After we are far away from the main forces of the Ice God clan, we will try to kill the Ice God clan experts that are lured out. But we are not sure how many we will lure. If too many Ice God clan experts are lured out, Long Yu, you will appear and provide support. I will send 10 great sovereigns into your small world and act according to the circumstances. Okay, no one had any objections to Lei Han's arrangement, including Long Yu himself. He knew that his cultivation realm was too low. If he wanted to lure the Ice God clan experts, it was very likely that they would not be interested in him. That way, it would not be considered a bait. According to Lei Han's plan, Long Yu could play a very important role. He would lead 10 great sovereigns to provide support. First, there is no need to worry that they would be too big of a target to attract the attention of the Ice God clan experts. Second, he was the least threatening one among them. This meant that the great sovereigns who entered Long Yu's small world didn't need to worry that Long Yu would have any ill intentions towards them. They could cultivate in peace. Of course, the small world that Long Yu had now, the Nine Nether Realm, could no longer allow living beings to enter. Therefore, Long Yu could only let the great sovereigns enter his inner world. There was no heaven and earth spiritual chi in his inner world, so he couldn't cultivate. Anyway, it was only temporary, so there was no need to worry about it. Soon, Lei Han made arrangements for the hundreds of sovereign mystic realm experts present. The reinforcements that had entered the space-time tunnel were all here. There were more than 130 people. Their overall combat strength was quite impressive. However, compared to the thousands of Ice God clan experts, they paled in comparison. Because of this, they needed to use the tactic of dividing their forces to lure the Ice God clan experts. All right, let's go. Everyone, do your best to protect yourselves. Don't die inexplicably. We shouldn't suffer any losses in this kind of ambush. Chapter 1224. Soon, everyone entered Lei Han's, Red Orioles, and Long Yu's small worlds. Of course, Long Yu only had his own small world. Lei Han had arranged for 10 sovereigns to enter his small world. A barrier of power suddenly rose up in the void nearby, enveloping the entire area within it. This translucent barrier contained the power of space. Not only could it prevent the Ice God race's experts from escaping, it could also block the Ice God race's sovereign secret realm experts from sending messages to the outside world. The appearance of this barrier shocked the 60 Ice God race's sovereign secret realm experts. They weren't idiots, and they immediately realized that they had fallen into a trap. However, before they could think too much about it, other sovereign secret realm-level demonic beasts appeared from Red Oriole's small world. Most of them were sovereign realm experts, ranging from first-stage sovereign realm to third-stage sovereign realm experts. There was even a fourth-stage sovereign realm expert among them. Adding all of them together, there were more than 60 people. In an instant, they appeared in front of the 60 Ice God race experts. It's about time to make a move. Long Yu's heart sank when he saw this scene. No matter what, the other side had more than 60 sovereign secret realm experts. Just like them, both sides could be said to be evenly matched. If they fought like this, it was very likely that their side would suffer casualties. This kind of situation was similar to what Lei Han had said before. They had accidentally attracted too many Ice God race experts. Therefore, Long Yu didn't hesitate to help. Come out. Long Yu was also enveloped by the barrier of divine characters. At this moment, he shouted, and the 10 sovereign secret realm experts in his small world flew out. Then, they attacked the group of 60 Ice God race experts. Because everything happened so suddenly, the Ice God clan powerhouses didn't have time to react. In just a single exchange, more than 10 Ice God clan powerhouses were instantly defeated by Red Oriole and the others, turning into ashes in the space-time tunnel. By herself, Red Oriole had unleashed the 6 demon bloodwings, which was a divine-grade absolute beginning art. She had killed 5 or 6 Ice God clan's experts in an instant. As for the 4th-stage Great Sovereign Realm expert, he had also unleashed a tyrannical move and killed 2 powerful 3rd-stage Great Sovereigns. 3rd-stage Sovereign Realm existences all had their trump cards up their sleeves. However, in the hands of a 4th-stage Sovereign Realm demonic beast cultivator, they couldn't even use their trump cards. It could be said that the demonic beast cultivator was extremely aggrieved. However, this was a war, a battlefield of alien races. There was no fairness in the battle between the Ice God clan and the Demon clan. The only result was death. Don't hold back. Use your trump cards. Attack. At this time, Long Yu didn't hold back. Although it was difficult for him to be of much use in a battle of this level, he had some tricks up his sleeves that could produce miraculous results. For example, when he shouted for the others to attack at the same time, he first activated the 9 Nether True Spirit's origin power. In an instant, the strange and majestic aura of the Joyo Dragon Emperor descended from the sky, enveloping the remaining 50 Ice God race experts. Long Yu's origin power was used to the point of perfection. Even if the opponent was a sovereign secret realm expert, or even a great sovereign, he could still suppress them for a period of time. If it was a lower sovereign realm expert, Long Yu would probably be stunned for 3 breaths' time. However, the Ice God race experts present were at least mid-level sovereign realm experts. Against such an opponent, Long Yu could suppress them for 2 breaths' time. If it was a higher sovereign realm expert, he could only suppress them for 1 breath's time. Needless to say, a great sovereign realm expert was immune to Long Yu's attack. At most, they would be stunned for half a breath's time before recovering. After that, they wouldn't be affected by the same aura anymore. However, Long Yu wasn't the only one fighting against the Ice God race experts. Even if he used the 9 Nether True Spirit to suppress the Ice God race experts for half a breath's time, it was enough to provide an excellent environment for the others to attack. When Long Yu activated his origin deterrence, the others launched their strongest attacks one after another, instantly enveloping all the experts of the Ice God clan. The power of various divine characters rained down like torrential rain. Immediately, many Ice God race experts in the Sovereign Secret Realm lost their lives. Of course, the first to die were those who hadn't reached the Great Sovereign Realm. All the Ice God race experts who had reached the Great Sovereign Realm reacted in half a breath's time and began to defend against the attacks of the others. There were a few great sovereigns of the Ice God race who weren't affected by Long Yu's origin power. They probably had high attainments in certain aspects. Perhaps they had cultivated a secret martial art similar to Long Yu's pure world physique, or perhaps they had comprehended a similar innate technique that could resist all kinds of controlling power. These great sovereigns gathered all their strength in an attempt to protect the Ice God race experts around them. However, most of their strength was wasted in vain. These great sovereigns who were conscious were only at the first or second level Great Sovereign Realm. How could it be easy to resist the joint attack of more than 60 demon race experts, including Red Oriole? In just a breath's time, the Ice God clan's warriors, who had been left with more than 50 warriors, were reduced to 15. The rest of the Ice God clan's warriors had all been killed by the torrential attack, leaving only some broken ice crystal bodies and many powerful weapons used by the Ice God clan's warriors. Of course, these weapons couldn't be used by the human race or the demon race, but they could be smelted into weapon refining materials to refine powerful weapons suitable for the human race or the demon race. It feels so good to kill the outsiders. All the demon cultivators present thought in their hearts. The hatred between them and the alien races was absolutely irreconcilable, and the Ice God clan was just one of them. Now, they had easily killed so many experts of the Ice God clan, which made them feel very refreshed. I didn't expect that kid to have such a powerful control method. If he enters the Sovereign Secret Realm, won't he be able to subdue even the Great Sovereign Realm experts for a breath's time? A breath's time can decide many things. I underestimated this kid from the beginning. No wonder he is the man that the princess of the Blood Demon race has taken a liking to. But he can't use that move again. If I'm not wrong, that move won't work on the same opponent twice. He can only use it when the opponent is least expecting it. Surprise is what we need. On the battlefield of the outsiders, surprise is the only way to reap the greatest results. Just like now, there are 15 Ice God race experts left, and they're almost our meal. Everyone surrounded the 15 Ice God clans, great sovereigns. The remaining Ice God clan's experts had already lost the possibility of fighting against the more than 60 monster cultivators present. In the end, all of them would definitely die. Chapter 1225. Therefore, the remaining 15 Ice God clan great sovereigns all gathered together, as if they had a common target, and they all rushed in Red Oriole's direction. Red Oriole didn't expect them to treat her as a target, but she didn't panic. In the face of such a situation, she didn't fight them head-on. Instead, she quickly retreated, choosing to temporarily retreat. This was undoubtedly the best method, because if the 15 Ice God clan great sovereigns focused their attacks, and 2 of them were even third-phase great sovereigns, it would be difficult for Red Oriole to resist them head-on. Even if she could resist them, she would suffer a lot of losses. Therefore, she temporarily retreated, avoiding the other party's concentrated attacks. Anyway, she wasn't fighting alone. Soon, as Red Oriole retreated, the other demonic cultivators who were originally beside Red Oriole reacted one after another, filling in the gap left by Red Oriole. At the same time, they launched fierce attacks at the 15 Ice God clan great sovereigns. These 15 Ice God clan great sovereigns' original target was Red Oriole, but when Red Oriole retreated, they were all stunned for a moment, and it just so happened that this opportunity allowed the others' attacks to have a great effect. 2 Ice God clan great sovereigns were directly injured by the combined attacks of everyone, and the other 13 Ice God clan great sovereigns also suffered quite a bit of damage and were all blasted back. These Ice God clan great sovereigns were surrounded by demonic cultivators, and those who hadn't reached the Great Sovereign Realm didn't dare to participate in the encirclement. They could only watch from the outside like Long Yu. The 30 demonic cultivators in total directly surrounded the 15 Ice God Clan Great Sovereigns. Soon, Red Oriole used her techniques, and the blood-colored divine runes turned into blood-red whip shadows, directly attacking the Ice God Clan Great Sovereigns. There's also a fourth phase Great Sovereign demonic cultivator expert in the crowd, who also used thunderous techniques, and together with Red Oriole, they became the most dazzling figures on the scene. Under the leadership of the two, the 15 Ice God Clan Great Sovereigns were repeatedly defeated, and they didn't even have the strength to fight back. Even though they constantly used the power of the Ice Divine Runes, wanting to counterattack and escape the encirclement, with so many demonic cultivators, how could they let them succeed? In less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, under the heavy siege of everyone, all 15 Ice God Clan's Great Sovereigns were quickly killed, because Red Oriole and the fourth phase ruler were present. The two of them would help block the enemy's killing moves if they joined forces. As a result, not a single one of the beasts had died by the time all 15 of the beasts were killed. At most, a few of them were slightly injured, but it wasn't a big problem. In this battle, with everyone working together, they managed to kill more than 60 Sovereign Realm experts from the Ice God race. On the other hand, not a single expert from the demonic beast race had died. There was no doubt that Lei Han's plan was correct. This method of luring the enemy deeper and gradually nibbling away at the enemy was quite effective. At the very least, Red Oriole's side had succeeded. However, Lei Han still hadn't returned. It was unknown if he had encountered some sort of accident. "Brat, you're amazing. I've underestimated you before. It looks like you've made a great contribution in this operation." A demonic cultivator Great Sovereign came to Long Yu's side and patted Long Yu's shoulder with a hearty smile. This demonic cultivator was a straightforward person, and if there was something he wanted to say, he would say it directly. Obviously, he saw that Long Yu had played a big role in the battle just now. Not many people were able to comprehend the large-scale intimidation and control effect, not to mention that Long Yu was just a little guy at the level of a 5-star emperor. "Senior overpraises me." Long Yu smiled faintly and said modestly, "What I said is the truth. Do your best, brat." As expected of the man that the blood demon race's princess has taken a liking to, you're really different from the masses. It's just that your cultivation realm is a little too low. You need to work harder in this aspect. The demonic cultivator laughed heartily. "Many thanks for Senior's guidance." Long Yu also smiled and nodded. Since the demonic cultivator was smiling, Long Yu would not give him a black face. Long Yu had always been like this. He would treat others how they treated him. Soon, Dao Qing, Tian Song, and Hai Shu also came to Long Yu's side and praised Long Yu. However, Hai Shu, the girl with short blue hair, snorted and said, "Brat, you've hidden your strength well. Why didn't you use this move when our team was facing more than 30 ice gods? At that time, we were outnumbered. Even if we intimidated those ice god sovereigns, it would have been difficult for us to increase our victory." Long Yu scratched his head and explained calmly, "That's right. This move is too heaven-defying. If you want to use it, you must have absolute confidence that you can kill the opponent. Otherwise, the opponent will be alerted, and they will be on guard in the future." Dao Qing nodded and agreed with Long Yu's words. "Lei Han seems to be coming over. What's going on? Why are there so many Ice God Clan experts behind him?" At this time, many people saw a familiar figure running over from afar. It was Lei Han, who had transformed into an ordinary third-stage sovereign demonic cultivator. Behind Lei Han, there were more than 100 Ice God Clan experts, and more than 30 of them were great sovereigns. Don't be afraid. The opponent's overall combat strength is not strong. There are only 30 great sovereigns. We can easily kill them. Get ready to attack. Red Oriole was the first to detect the approaching Ice God Clan experts. She was the first to react. She raised her hand and gathered world power in her hand. Then, she took all the surrounding demonic cultivators into her small world. Hearing Red Oriole's words, Long Yu didn't hesitate. He directly took the 10 great sovereigns into his inner world. Then, he and Red Oriole moved forward to meet Lehan. Lehan was running at an extremely fast speed. However, the Ice God Clan experts behind him weren't slow either. They often used control-type techniques to slow down Lehan, so the distance between them was getting shorter and shorter. On this side, Red Oriole's perception range was very far. Moreover, because there was a barrier that blocked detection in the beginning, the Ice God Clan experts behind Lehan didn't discover the large group of demonic cultivators that were originally here. When they saw Long Yu and Red Oriole approaching them, seemingly wanting to support Lehan, they couldn't help but laugh so hard that their icicles fell off. One of these two brats was a first-stage sovereign, and the other was only a 5-star emperor. It was simply too ridiculous. They had actually appeared in the space-time tunnel. Weren't they completely a meal for the Ice God Clan? More than 100 Ice God Clan experts moved forward together. They wanted to surround Lehan, Red Oriole, and Long Yu, and then kill them. However, just as these experts of the Ice God Clan were daydreaming, suddenly, powerful figures of Yao cultivators emerged from Lehan, Red Oriole, and Long Yu's micro-worlds, one after another. As soon as they appeared, they constructed a barrier that enveloped all the experts of the Ice God Clan. In just an instant, these Ice God Clan experts were like turtles in a jar. Kill. It was also at this time that Lehan, who was being chased, finally turned around. Deep purple lightning erupted from his body. In an instant, countless deep purple lightning bolts filled the sky and bombarded the group of Ice God Clan experts. The strength of a 5th-stage Sovereign Realm expert was exposed in an instant. Even some of the Ice God Clan's experts with 3rd-stage Sovereign Realm were at most a 4th-stage Sovereign Realm expert. Moreover, the strongest expert among the Ice God Clan's experts was only a 4th-stage Sovereign Realm expert. Moreover, the 4th-stage Sovereign Realm expert had already blocked his way. For this group of Ice God Clan experts, Lehan's attack was equivalent to a massacre. However, the Ice God Clan's nightmare was yet to come. Since Long Yu was now certain that these Ice God Clan experts would not be able to escape, there was no need for him to have any scruples. He flew directly to the group of Ice God Clan experts and used the 9-nethered True Spirit Source to intimidate them. The vast aura of the Juyo Dragon Emperor directly intimidated all the surrounding Ice God Clan experts on the spot. Even if it was only for a short moment, it was considered fatal for these Ice God Clan experts. Although it was impossible for Long Yu to kill these guys, as long as he used a little control method, there would naturally be others who would slaughter these Ice God Clan experts. Some of the surrounding demonic cultivators had already seen Long Yu use this method, so they were already prepared. When Long Yu released the 9-nethered True Spirit Source, they immediately released their killer move. As for the other group of demonic cultivators that Lehan had originally taken into the small world, they hadn't seen this move of Long Yu's, but at this moment, they reacted very quickly. They directly cooperated with Long Yu and exploded with their strongest killer move. With the merciless slaughter of Lehan, Red Oriole, and the 4th-stage Sovereign Realm experts, in just a breath's time, more than 30 Ice God Clan experts were killed. All kinds of divine characters exploded in the void, crushing those Ice God Clan experts into pieces. A total of more than 30 Ice God Clan experts died, and more than 50 Ice God Clan experts were injured, some of which were seriously injured. Moreover, at the very beginning, Lehan and the others' targets were the stronger Ice God Clan Great Sovereigns. As for ordinary high-level sovereigns and intermediate sovereigns, they couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. As a result, just this wave of 9-nether True Spirit Source from Long Yu alone caused the Ice God Clan experts to lose more than half of their combat strength. The remaining ones could be said to be old, weak, and disabled. Although they could still cause some damage if they gathered together, it was absolutely impossible for them to escape from the encirclement of the crowd. Moreover, as long as the crowd's protection was strong enough, it was likely that not a single one of them would be killed by the opponent, and they would be able to completely defeat the opponent. This was the advantage of setting up an ambush. Under the condition of maintaining one's maximum combat strength, one could gradually cut off the opponent's wings and weaken the opponent's combat strength bit by bit. Chapter 1226. It didn't take long for the hundreds of ice god experts that Lehon had lured over to be wiped out. After all, most of them weren't great sovereigns, but ordinary sovereigns. Therefore, dealing with them was relatively easy. Cleaning up the battlefield was much easier. There were over 100 ice gods, plus the 60 ice gods that Red Oriole had lured over. All of them had quite a few unbounded warriors, and although they were all damaged to varying degrees, they were still worth a lot of money to recycle. At the very least, the materials from 2 unbounded soldiers would be enough to make a new unbounded soldier, just like what Long Yu and Red Oriole had asked Wei Yiyan to do. As for how the spoils of war would be distributed, no one needed to worry about it. For the time being, the loot would be collected and handed over to Lehon. It would be more reasonable to distribute the spoils after the mission was over. After all, they were still in the middle of a tense battle, and there was no time to distribute the spoils. Furthermore, the number of damaged, unbounded soldiers they had was far from enough for everyone to get an unbounded soldier. There was no need to waste time on this. Continue to lure them. We've already killed nearly 200 ice god experts, but I'm afraid it won't be easy to lure them out again. Many people voiced out their opinions to Lehon. In any case, the baiting operation was fruitful, and everyone wanted to continue. Even if the ice god experts were alerted, going back and forth like this wouldn't do them any good. It would be even better if some of the ice god experts fell for it. Lehon nodded. Continue with the baiting operation, but we need to change our people. Dao Qing, you can lead a team alone. Also, Long Yu, you haven't appeared in front of the ice god experts before, so you can go out and lure them. This time, we'll split into 2 teams. Just to be on the safe side, we'll go in batches. The Ice God clan might be prepared, so they won't just send one team to chase us. They might use a chain tactic, sending one group to follow us first, and then some to follow behind us. That way, if anything happens to the Ice God experts in front, the Ice God experts in the back will know immediately. At this moment, Red Oriole said, "That's why we have to adapt our tactics accordingly." These words made everyone nod. Red Oriole's considerations were not unreasonable. Previously, the 200 ice gods had chased after them, but none of them had returned. This would definitely have alerted the other party, and it was inevitable that they would take measures. The chain tactic that Red Oriole had guessed was more likely to be used by the other party. Since that's the case, if the enemy dares to use chain tactics, we'll cut off the connection between the front and rear at the source. No matter how many chains we use, it's impossible to connect them indefinitely. Lehon said in a deep voice, "How about this? I will personally intercept them from behind. First, Dao Qing will lure the ice gods, and Long Yu will wait in the distance. The further the better. If there are really ice gods behind us, I will deal with them and disrupt their plans. As for those guys that Dao Qing lured, I will leave them to everyone. We must kill them as soon as possible." "No problem." Everyone responded in unison. After the plan was made, everyone began to move. This time, a total of 20 monster race sovereigns entered Long Yu's inner world. Perhaps because Long Yu's performance just now had blinded everyone, no one had any opinions about Long Yu now. Perhaps the only one who still had opinions about Long Yu was the handsome young man from the Divine Wood monster race, Han Hen, who was in Dao Qing's team previously. This guy seemed to be very unhappy with Long Yu, so he rejected Lehon's arrangement and chose to enter Dao Qing's small world instead of Long Yu's inner world. Regarding this, Long Yu didn't mind as long as Han Hen didn't cause trouble during the mission. Moreover, Long Yu could also see that this handsome young man was just a little emotional. If he really wanted to ruin the mission and attack Long Yu, this guy would not do such a thing. Dao Qing led more than 70 Demon Clan experts in the pocket dimension. On the surface, she seemed to be alone as she once again set off for the chaotic battle in the space-time passageway. Meanwhile, Lehon was alone, concealing himself and quietly disappearing into the void. Even Red Oriole was unable to find any trace of Lehon. It should be known that among the many monster race experts present, Red Oriole's spiritual sense was the strongest. If even she couldn't sense Lei Han's existence, one could imagine how strong Lei Han's concealment ability was. As a powerful monster race expert with a 5th phase sovereign realm cultivation, Lei Han's overall strength was definitely far beyond ordinary people. It should be known that he was equivalent to the commander of an army on the battlefield, Shuai Luo, a super expert at the level of emperor. If Shuai Luo appeared here, he would be able to play a similar role as Lei Han. Their strength was about the same level. Let's go. Long Yu remained where he was, watching as Dao Qing's figure got further and further away, until she disappeared into the multicolored space-time passageway. Red Oriole was currently in Long Yu's inner world. She smiled at Long Yu and said, "Let's wait." However, I'm afraid the baiting operation this time won't go so smoothly. It's fine for us at the front, but it's really dangerous for Lei Han to cover the rear by himself. There are quite a few 5th phase sovereign realm ice god race experts in the chaotic battlefield. Although they are currently being held back by the Bitterwalker Alliance, the other side's reinforcements are increasing. If an ice god race expert suddenly arrives, I'm afraid the situation won't be easy to handle. However, right now, we don't have any other methods besides baiting them. As for whether we can succeed or not, we can only leave it to fate. Long Yu said as he narrowed his eyes. Right now, they only had a total of 130 people. Including the Bitterwalker Alliance, they didn't even have 400 people. If they wanted to fight the Ice God race experts head-on, it would definitely be an act of suicide. They could only use the baiting plan and eliminate as many as they could. Not long after, Long Yu quickly sensed the aura of a group of Ice God race experts approaching from afar. They were following behind a demonic beast cultivator, constantly approaching him. The demonic beast cultivator's aura was obviously Dao Qing's aura. This time, the baiting candidate was Dao Qing. Therefore, Long Yu immediately made preparations. Just like before, those Ice God clan experts that were pursuing Dao Qing didn't pay any attention to Long Yu's sudden appearance. After all, who would pay attention to a mere 5-star imperial monarch from the human race? Normally, a 5-star emperor wouldn't be of any use in the battlefield of the sovereign secret realm. Therefore, the group of more than 30 Ice God race experts continued to chase Dao Qing. None of them cared about the existence of Long Yu. Even if Long Yu attacked them, he wouldn't be able to break their flesh. However, this time, Dao Qing and Long Yu weren't in a hurry to attack. Both of them felt that there were more Ice God race experts following behind the 30 Ice God race experts. Obviously, they had sensed that something was wrong with the previous 2 waves, so they followed them to take a look. Now, they had to wait for Lei Han to attack. As for Long Yu and Dao Qing, they could only continue to run away for the time being. The group of Ice God race experts was extremely fast. Long Yu had to use the path of the 9 underworlds to forcefully break through space and teleport. Only then could he barely outrun the Ice God race experts. It had to be known that within the space-time corridor, all space divine runes were sealed off. Wanting to use space divine runes to teleport was nearly impossible. However, Long Yu had relied on his 7th divine ability, the 9 Nether Path, to forcefully break through the barrier of space and use the power of space divine runes to teleport. This method surprised Dao Qing once again. We can't wait any longer. How about this? I'll deal with the 30 Ice God race experts here. Long Yu, you take your people and intercept the 20 Ice God race experts behind us. Is that okay? Dao Qing ran for a while and found that the opponents were chasing after them. Even further behind, the Ice God race experts were also following them. Dao Qing said to Long Yu in a low voice. Okay. Long Yu didn't hesitate and nodded. His whole body turned into nothingness and flew backward. Soon, he passed by the 30 Ice God race experts. None of the Ice God clan's experts realized this. Long Yu easily arrived at the rear, and then saw with his naked eyes the 20 Ice God clan's experts that he had detected just now. These 20 Ice God race experts were very fast and seemed to be very flexible. It was very likely that they were a special reconnaissance team. Seeing this situation, Long Yu's face became serious. These guys, I can't let any of them escape. Long Yu turned into nothingness and told Red Oriole about the situation here. Red Oriole discussed with the other great sovereigns and decided to use an absolute space barrier to trap the 20 Ice God race experts. However, an absolute space barrier was not enough. At Long Yu's request, Red Oriole and the others were divided into 3 groups. Each group was responsible for creating a space barrier to prevent those guys from escaping. After the plan was made, Long Yu finally showed up and made a move. He directly used the 9 Serenity's true spirits source deterrence. In an instant, the 20 Ice God clan powerhouses were all stunned on the spot. They had never thought that a guy would suddenly appear in the surrounding void and launch an attack on them. After Long Yu transformed into nothingness, his concealment ability was really too strong. It was also at this time that Red Oriole and the other great sovereigns of the monster race appeared together. They directly condensed a huge force to build 3 layers of space barrier, trapping all the Ice God race experts inside. Chapter 1227. What happened next was a matter of course. When the 20 Ice Gods were trapped in the 3 layers of spatial barriers, they were like turtles in a jar, unable to escape. However, a few Ice Gods' great sovereigns used some powerful divine abilities to shatter the first and second layers of spatial barriers, almost allowing them to escape. Fortunately, under Long Yu's orders, everyone created a total of 3 layers of spatial barriers to prevent them from escaping. Everyone attacked the 20 Ice Gods' great sovereigns. Among them, Red Oriole was the most straightforward. She directly used the Demon Blood 6 Wings, the 8th awakening method of the absolute beginning divine quality. Countless blood-colored whip shadows swept out, like the tentacles of the Grim Reaper, killing one Ice God's great sovereigns after another. These Ice God's great sovereigns were not very strong. Their only strength was their agility and speed. However, within the layers of spatial barriers, this characteristic of theirs was completely useless. Red Oriole alone killed 7 Ice God's great sovereigns in a row. The remaining 13 were killed by the others. In total, it took less than 2 hours to finish them all. As expected of Princess Blood Demon, although she only has the cultivation of a first-stage great sovereign, her overall combat strength is so strong. I'm afraid she has surpassed the ordinary 3rd-stage great sovereigns. That absolute beginning divine quality must have awakened a very high level. I wonder which level she has reached. Princess Blood Demon is also fighting with all her might. After all, the situation is urgent. We can give the Ice God clan any chance to breathe. If we don't use our full strength, it won't be fun if something unexpected happens. After everyone defeated the 20 Ice Gods, Red Oriole collected the spoils of war. There were several absolute beginning divine quality, but unfortunately, these absolute beginning divine quality were all ice attribute. They were useless to Long Yu and Red Oriole. When the time came, they could only let Lei Han distribute them. Everyone would get a lot of them, which would be a lot of money if they exchanged them for demon coins. During this process, everyone had a better understanding of Long Yu. They had to admit that Long Yu had a good grasp of the rhythm of the battle. If Long Yu hadn't reminded them to create 3 layers of space barriers, it was very likely that some of the Ice Gods would have escaped this time. These 20 Ice Gods were all extremely fast. Even if one of them escaped, their plan would be exposed. In that case, they would not be able to continue to lure the Ice Gods out and kill them one by one. Although many people didn't say anything on the surface, they secretly gave Long Yu a thumbs up. It was also because of Long Yu that they were able to take advantage of the time when the Ice Gods were frightened and trap them in the space barrier. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy to deal with them. All in all, Long Yu and Red Oriole had both contributed greatly. Although Long Yu's cultivation wasn't very high, it made him even more valuable. If Long Yu had the cultivation of a sovereign, how terrifying would his combat strength be? He would definitely not be inferior to the Blood Demon Princess. Everyone made their guesses about Long Yu, and they were very optimistic about his strength. Soon, they continued to move forward and found Lei Han flying over alone in front of them. His whole body was full of murderous intent. Dark purple lightning surrounded his whole body, making him look as terrible as the god of thunder. On Lei Han's body, there was still a lot of divine text power of the ice god, and a lot of flesh of the ice gods hanging on his body and not cleaned up. It could be seen that he had just experienced a terrible battle and killed many ice gods. Done. Long Yu went up and asked. Well, there were 3 waves of ice god clan's pursuers, but each wave had fewer people than the previous one. I intercepted the last wave and kept killing them. In total, I killed 40 ice god clan's beasts, and I didn't let the news leak. Lei Han nodded and laughed heartily. It seemed that the fierce battle just now didn't make him tired at all. There must be no problem with Dao Qing. It seems that we have killed more than 100 ice gods this time. Red Oriole narrowed her eyes and said, Let's meet up with Dao Qing first. Lei Han nodded and then led the group to where Dao Qing was. There were more than 70 demon clan powerhouses in Dao Qing's small world, and they only needed to deal with more than 30 ice gods. So if there were no accidents, there would be no problem. Soon, Lei Han, Red Oriole, Long Yu, and the others kept moving forward. They saw more than 50 people, including Dao Qing, coming up to them. It looked like they had won, but all of them had ugly expressions on their faces. Moreover, there were more than 20 people missing. This situation made Lei Han's face fall. Dao Qing, what's wrong with you? Did something happen? Lei Han went up and asked directly. Those ice gods chose to self-destruct. Dao Qing came up and said with a sullen face, although the power of their self-destruction was weakened to the lowest level in the space-time tunnel, more than 30 ice gods still killed nearly 20 people on our side when they self-destructed at the same time. It seems that this group of ice gods had decided to self-destruct when they set off. Otherwise, they wouldn't have chosen to self-destruct so uniformly. They actually chose to self-destruct. Lei Han, Red Oriole, and Long Yu's faces turned serious when they heard that. After reaching the sovereign secret realm, all living beings would value their own lives more, and they wouldn't choose to self-destruct so easily. Therefore, they hadn't encountered such a problem before. Moreover, as Dao Qing had said, the space-time tunnel had a strong weakening effect on any power that exceeded a certain limit. The self-destruction of a sovereign realm expert would create a space-time turbulence, and the power of the space-time turbulence far exceeded what the space-time tunnel could withstand. Therefore, once they self-destructed, most of the power would be directly absorbed and weakened by the space-time tunnel. Even so, the terrifying destructive power of more than 30 Ice God Clan sovereign secret realm experts' self-destruction still caused Dao Qing's group to lose 19 people. In the previous 2 times, they hadn't lost a single person, but this time, they had lost 19 people. It could be said that the loss was extremely heavy. From this incident, it could be seen that the Ice God Clan had already discovered and seen through their plan to lure the Ice God Clan sovereign secret realm experts. The Ice God Clan sovereign secret realm experts had used the chain tactic to investigate the Ice God Clan sovereign secret realm expert strength. Unfortunately, more than 100 Ice God Clan experts had also died this time, and the Ice God Clan sovereign secret realm experts hadn't been able to find out how many people Lei Han had on his side. This was because all the Ice God Clan experts who had been sent to investigate had been killed by Lei Han alone. Of course, Long Yu and Red Oriole had also killed 20 Ice God Clan experts who were proficient in speed and space element divine runes, which had also dealt a critical blow to the Ice God Clan's plan. Since that's the case, we have killed nearly 300 Ice God Clan experts. The Ice God Clan has seen through our plan, and it seems like they won't continue to fall for it. It's time to attack head-on and help the Bitterwalker Alliance. After Lei Han learned the news from Dao Qing, he immediately made a decision. This was undoubtedly the right decision. Now that the Ice God Clan had known their plan to lure the Ice God Clan experts, it would be useless to continue to lure them. In this critical situation, the most correct action was to help the Bitterwalker Alliance. Everyone nodded in agreement with Lei Han's plan, but many of them were in low spirits. That was because many of the 19 monster cultivators who had died in the Ice God clan self-destruction were friends and brothers of those who were still alive. However, this low spirit soon turned into hatred for the Ice God clan, which made their fighting spirit even higher. Let's go and kill the enemies. Under Lei Han's lead, everyone rushed towards the chaotic battlefield. This time, no one hid their tracks. They were ready to charge into the chaotic battlefield directly and help the people of the Bitter Walker Alliance out of their predicament. Now the Bitter Walker Alliance was surrounded and trapped in a bitter fight. If they wanted to rescue them, the best way was to attack with great momentum and force the enemy to retreat temporarily. In order to achieve this effect, everyone was ready to use the Fierce Fire Charm this time, and many monster cultivators who had practiced the doppelganger magic skill or martial skill also displayed their strongest illusions and doppelgangers. One doppelganger turned into 10 doppelgangers, and 10 doppelgangers turned into 100 doppelgangers, so that the original team of more than 100 people suddenly became a team of 1,000 people. Moreover, due to the power of the fierce flame symbol enveloping every illusion doppelganger, coupled with the endless stream of various powers, it was not easy to see through these illusion doppelgangers. Although some fellows with stronger spiritual senses could still see that these were illusion doppelgangers, if they charged in with such a great momentum, it would definitely cause an extremely violent uproar. And this allowed them to successfully rescue the people of the Bitter Walker Alliance. When the two sides gathered together, it would be much more convenient for them to act. The bait was successful at first, but it's a pity that we can't do it more than 3 times. In the end, we still have to go to this stage of the tangled battle. Long Yu followed the group, not planning to join the fun in this kind of scene, and directly ran into Red Oriole's small world. In this sort of chaotic battle, both sides were either sovereigns or even great sovereigns. Even the slightest ripple of power from either side would instantly kill Long Yu. Under such circumstances, he naturally didn't dare to act recklessly outside. For the sake of safety, it was best to return to Red Oriole's minor world. In any case, Long Yu didn't need to be alone in this sort of chaotic battle. The magnificent foreign tangled battle was unfolding near Long Yu, but Long Yu could not personally participate and could only hide in Red Oriole's small world. This feeling made Long Yu rather unhappy. I still need to raise my martial realm as soon as possible. If I can't raise my cultivation, everything will be for naught. Chapter 1228. The chaotic battle began. Lei Han led hundreds of people and thousands of illusionary doppelgangers and charged toward the chaotic battle area. The entire battlefield was ignited. The Ice God clan suddenly became shocked. The reinforcement of thousands of demonic cultivators was enough to wipe out the entire army of the Ice God clan. Even though many experts of the Ice God clan perceived that most of the thousands of demonic cultivators were illusionary doppelgangers, they had no time to convey this to other members of the Ice God clan, and the whole scene had exploded into chaos. The Ice God clan experts retreated in the direction Lei Han led. They didn't dare to confront Lei Han and the others head-on. That would be suicide. The thousands of Ice God clan experts weren't real Ice God clan warriors. They were just some miscellaneous troops. Every Ice God clan member valued their own lives. They wouldn't be willing to sacrifice themselves for no reason. Lei Han led his people and charged over. They scattered the Ice God clan's camp. Then, they successfully reunited with the Bitter Walker Alliance. They began to retreat while fighting. The Bitter Walker Alliance originally had a total of more than 200 people, and all of them were Sovereign Realm experts. But after the chaotic battle, more than 20 people had died, and the remaining 180 people had sustained serious injuries. Many of them had even been corroded by the frigid ice divine runes, leaving behind internal injuries. The Bitter Walker Alliance was naturally very happy that Lei Han brought people to rescue them. However, when they saw that Lei Han's side only had 100 people, and half of them were not great sovereigns. They were only high sovereigns or middle sovereigns. Their faces immediately turned ugly. Of course, as long as there were reinforcements, it was a good thing. The Bitterwalker Alliance didn't say much. They joined forces with Lei Han and the others. They retreated while fighting, retreating toward the entrance of the space-time tunnel. During this process, all the demonic cultivators led by Lei Han, even those illusionary doppelgangers, began to use the fierce fire rune. The endless power of the divine characters of flame instantly broke out in the space-time corridor, blocking all the experts of the Ice God clan in the distance, making it impossible to chase after them. Just like that, although they had used up quite a few fierce fire talismans, all the beast cultivators had successfully retreated. This was especially true for one of the members of the Bitterwalker Alliance. Without hesitation, he ran towards the exit of the space-time tunnel as fast as he could. Beside him, there were two other fourth-phase dominators escorting him. It seemed like the large amount of fierce fire symbols that the Ascetic Walker Alliance was escorting this time was on that guy. Therefore, that guy fled as fast as he could. No matter what, he had to ensure that the fierce fire symbols didn't suffer any losses. No one said anything about the three of them retreating, because the fierce fire symbol was also the mission target of Lei Han and the others. As long as the fierce fire talismans were delivered to the frontline fortress, their mission would be considered completed and they would be rewarded handsomely. As for the situation in the space-time tunnel, it would not affect their mission rewards at all. Of course, many people were guessing in their hearts that the Ice God clan would definitely not let the matter go with how tense the situation had become. The army on the battlefield would definitely issue a new mission related to the space-time tunnel. However, they had no way of contacting the army on the battlefield. They did not know if the outside world already knew about the situation here. At the latest, the three members of the Ascetic Alliance would have to escort the ferocious fire talisman to the fortress of the Battlefield Legion. Then, they would report the situation to the people of the Battlefield Legion. By then, there should be news of a new mission. Everyone fought and retreated. Under the cover of the fierce fire symbols that they had prepared in advance, they continuously retreated to the end of the space-time tunnel. The space around them became narrower and narrower. This was not good news for everyone. Although the narrower the space, the easier it was to defend, it also made it easier for them to be focused on by the enemy. If the enemy had thousands of Ice God clan experts focus fire on them at the same time, it would be too difficult for them to defend. Soon, the remaining 180 people of the Ascetic Walker Alliance and the 100 people led by Lei Han had all retreated to the entrance of the space-time tunnel. As long as they stepped out of the tunnel, they would be able to reach the territory of the Demon Clan on the alien race's battlefield. It could be said that this was the last line of defense of the Demon Clan. If they could not hold this place, the Ice God clan would invade the third outer galaxy through this tunnel and even invade the territory of the Demon Clan. Guard the tunnel to death. Don't let any Ice God clan pass through the space-time tunnel. The end of the space-time tunnel was relatively narrow. It was surrounded by the colorful power of the five elements at the beginning. If the Ice God clan wanted to pass through the space-time tunnel, it would be impossible to avoid Lei Han and the 300 people of the Ascetic Walker Alliance. At this time, Long Yu also came out of Red Oriole's worldlet and mixed in with the crowd. At this time, no one in the Ascetic Walker Alliance would pay attention to Long Yu, who was only a 5-star emperor. Guard the tunnel to death. When Long Yu heard Lei Han's order, he could not help but be a little surprised. This had nothing to do with their mission this time. However, Lei Han had a blood feud with the Ice God clan, so it was normal for him to make such a decision. For Lei Han, as long as he could destroy the Ice God clan's plan, he was willing to carry it out resolutely. So now that he issued this order, it was in line with Lei Han's own interests. But it was not the same for the others. Guarding the entrance of the space-time tunnel would not benefit them at all. After all, the army on the battlefield might not know about the situation here. So without the corresponding mission from the army on the battlefield, even if they defended the space-time tunnel, they might not get any rewards. That was what Long Yu thought. But when he looked around at the other demon cultivators except Lei Han, he was surprised to find that all the demon cultivators present, including the remaining 180 experts of the Ascetic Walker Alliance who had been injured, did not choose to retreat. Everyone guarded the entrance of the space-time tunnel with solemn expressions. Of course, for the Ice God clan, this place was an exit, an important passage for them to attack the Demon Clan. This scene made Long Yu feel quite gratified. It seemed that in this world, not everyone was mercenary. However, those that Long Yu had seen before were all pampered young masters in the Demon Clan's territory. After coming to the battlefield of the foreign clan, most cultivators would regard themselves as part of the Demon Clan and consciously protect the overall interests of the entire Demon Clan, not just for themselves. In such an urgent situation, even if there were no benefits, the strong demon cultivators would be willing to stand up and take the initiative to fight against the foreign clan. If not for this, perhaps the two major races, the Demon Clan and the Human Clan, would not have been able to survive for so long in such a big world where the strong preyed on the weak. The 300 demonic cultivators were prepared to defend the entrance of the space-time passageway. As for the illusionary doppelgangers, some of which even carried the fierce fire talismans, they were left behind to guard the rear. At this moment, they were all gradually wiped out. Soon, thousands of Ice God Clan's sovereign secret realm experts walked over from the other end of the space-time tunnel, appearing in front of everyone, and a burst of cold air suddenly swept over. With so many Ice God Clan's sovereign secret realm experts together, the aura of the cold ice divine characters had even overshadowed the power of the Origin 5 elements in the space-time tunnel. It was majestic and vast, bringing waves of pressure to everyone. Everyone's mood was tense, but no one was worried that the other party could kill them in an instant, because even without the hundreds of people led by Lei Han, the less than 200 people of the Ascetic Walker Alliance had been able to resist the other party for a long time. Now, with the addition of Lei Han and the others, as long as the Ice God clan did not send more reinforcements to participate in the battle, it was impossible for them to lose. The only thing they were worried about was that the Ice God clan would send more experts over. And this was almost certain, and the only uncertainty was when the other party would send experts over. The real battle to the death would only begin when that time came. At best, it could be said to be an appetizer. Soon, the Ice God clan did not waste much time and immediately launched a tentative attack. The Ice God clan gave the vanguard troops, which was also a miscellaneous army, a task, which was to open the entire space-time tunnel and at the same time intercept the fierce fire talisman of the Ascetic Walker Alliance. Unfortunately, they did not manage to intercept the fierce fire talisman, and instead, it was taken away by someone else. So, the only thing they could do now was to open the space-time tunnel, opening a path for the Ice God clan's army to follow. Of course, these Ice God clan's vanguard troops were just cannon fodder, but they were not willing to die meaninglessly. Therefore, before dying, no matter what, they had to create their own value for the Ice God clan. Just like the 300 experts of the Demon Clan, who were willing to defend this place without any benefits, the Ice God clan on the other side also loved their clan. Even if they had to die, they had to create their own value and die on the battlefield of the foreign clans. The first wave of 100 Ice God clan high-level sovereigns flew out from the Ice God clan and directly attacked the entrance of the space-time tunnel where everyone was. High-level sovereigns. Everyone's expression changed slightly. The first wave of 100 high-level sovereigns. What was going on? It was impossible for these high-level sovereigns to break through their defense line, and they could not even kill a single one of them. What on earth was the Ice God clan thinking? But soon, everyone understood the other party's plan. The 100 high-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan flew over, and when they were still far away, they had already begun to condense ice divine characters, causing their hexagonal ice crystal bodies to gradually expand. Self-destruction again. These guys are really crazy. Chapter 1229. Everyone, including Red Oriole, unleashed all kinds of defensive techniques at the same time. blood-colored divine characters whizzed out and formed a blood-colored barrier, blocking the void in front of them. Lei Han and the others also unleashed their own defensive techniques. Lightning barriers, lightning nets, and other divine characters formed defensive barriers, forming layers of impenetrable defense. The power of the self-detonation of the 100 Ice God clan's higher-level sovereigns instantly swept over. Many people's defensive barriers were instantly shattered. Even some first-level sovereigns' defensive techniques couldn't withstand the power of the self-detonation of over 100 higher-level sovereigns. Long Yu stayed by Red Oriole's side and didn't do anything. In the face of the opponent's self-detonation, any defensive techniques Long Yu used would be useless. The situation of the battle wouldn't change, even if Long Yu used defensive techniques. If the others couldn't withstand it, Long Yu would be useless no matter what he did. If the others could withstand it, then Long Yu wouldn't need to do anything. He would be happy to conserve his own strength. The self-detonation of the higher-level sovereigns in the space-time corridor won't produce spatial turbulence. However, the destruction of the small worlds and their bodies will produce very strong spatial turbulence that can threaten even sovereigns, let alone the self-detonation of over 100 higher-level sovereigns. I'm afraid many sovereigns have never seen such a scene in their entire lives. Long Yu thought to himself, such a scene was indeed incomparably spectacular. Only on the battlefield of the foreign races, when everyone's existence was serving their respective races, could such a scene occur. The Ice God clan was a terrifying foreign race that could cause 100 higher-level sovereigns to self-detonate. With such a cohesive force, how could their race not be powerful? However, no matter how powerful the Ice God clan was, they were all enemies to Long Yu and the Beast race. No matter how cohesive they were, it wasn't a good thing for Long Yu and the others. The power of the 100 higher-level sovereign self-detonation was mostly absorbed by the space-time corridor. The rest was blocked by Lei Han and the others' defensive techniques. They couldn't harm any of the Beast race cultivators. However, the other Ice God clan experts took advantage of this moment to quietly approach. Hundreds of Ice God clan experts arrived in front of the group at the same time. At this time, Lei Han and the 300 people from the Bitterwalker Alliance were still suffering from the residual power of the Ice God clan's self-detonation. They couldn't react so quickly. Looking at the number of the opponents, there are a total of 10 of them. The others all rushed out and killed their way of the Ice God clan with Lei Han and the others. One had to admit that the Bitterwalker Alliance only had 180 people left, and they were all elites among elites. Even a first-phase Great Ruler's combat strength surpassed a normal first-phase Great Ruler, and was equivalent to a normal second-phase Great Ruler, or even stronger. Although this kind of combat power couldn't compare to Red Oriole's, it was more than enough to deal with the Ice God clan's miscellaneous troops. Moreover, the Bitterwalkers Alliance had 2 powerful 5th-stage sovereigns who were the same cultivation realm as Lei Han. They were able to slaughter their way into the enemy's camp like there was no one there. They could easily kill Ice God clan's experts one after another until they were stopped by the Ice God clan's experts, who were also at the 5th-stage sovereign realm. Before Lei Han and the others arrived, the Bitterwalker Alliance was able to fight the Ice God clan to a standstill. Now that they had the help of Lei Han and the others, the situation immediately became one-sided. Originally, both sides had 2 5th-level sovereigns. But now, the demon race had a tyrannical existence like Lei Han. Their battle prowess had instantly skyrocketed. He was alone, and in a situation where no 5th-phase Great Dominator could resist him, he could kill several Ice God race powerhouses in a single breath. No one could stop him. Faced with such a situation, the Ice God clan's 4 4th-phase Great Sovereigns joined forces, each using their powerful secret martial arts and innate divine abilities, as well as absolute beginning divine grade weapons. Only then were they able to barely block Lei Han's attack. As a result, the one who killed the most Ice God clan experts was not Lei Han and the other 2 5th-level sovereigns, but Red Oriole. Of course, it was not just Red Oriole alone. She was cooperating with Long Yu. Because Long Yu could transform into nothingness, He cooperated with Red Oriole and specialized in ambushing the third-level sovereigns who were in a state of intense fighting. With Red Oriole's current combat power and Long Yu's ability to transform into nothingness, Red Oriole could hide in Long Yu's inner world. Long Yu would then transform into nothingness and silently approach the opponent. When the time was right, he would suddenly explode. Under Red Oriole's tyrannical attack, no third-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan could block her killing move. She and Long Yu would bring death with them. After killing one, Long Yu would immediately leave with Red Oriole and continue searching for the next target. The two's cooperation was flawless. Although Long Yu's martial realm was not high, his abilities in certain areas were unmatched by others. For example, concealment. There were not many third-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan present. There were only 30 or so of them, including the pentagonal Ice Crystal Great Ruler and a long-horned Ice God clan Great Ruler. Previously, Red Oriole had faced 3 third-level sovereigns by herself. She had risked her life to kill one of them. Now, in this chaotic situation, with Long Yu's secret help, she was completely slaughtered by the third-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan. The 5-edged Ice Crystal Great Ruler was originally suppressing 3 first-level sovereigns of the Bitterwalker Alliance. However, Long Yu suddenly appeared behind it with Red Oriole. Blood-colored divine characters burst forth, and a blood-colored whip shadow suddenly appeared, splitting the 5-edged Ice Crystal Great Ruler's whip into 2. As for the long-horned Ice God Race Great Ruler, he was originally fighting against a second-phase Great Ruler from the Ascetic Alliance. Just as he was about to kill the Ascetic Alliance, a blood-colored whip shadow suddenly appeared behind him and cut off his icicle horn. Then, the whip pierced through his body and instantly killed him. Although Red Oriole had just stepped into the Sovereign Realm, her combat strength was extremely terrifying. In this kind of chaotic battle, coupled with Long Yu's ability to appear and disappear unpredictably, she was able to kill her enemies without any openings. She had become the Ice God clan's nightmare. Moreover, Red Oriole was not like Lei Han, who could send people to deal with her. With Long Yu's unpredictable ability, even if the Ice God clan wanted to send people to surround and kill her, they would not be able to do so. This was because she could appear anywhere at any time. Why does that figure look so familiar? After finishing off the long-horned Ice God clan Great Ruler, Long Yu was just about to leave with Red Oriole when he caught a glimpse of a familiar figure in the chaotic battle not far away. The figure's entire body was surrounded by terrifying lightning. He looked like a god of lightning. Although he looked like he was only a first-level sovereigns, he was facing 2 second-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan alone. Moreover, he was not at a disadvantage. With his extremely terrifying physical strength, he was fighting the 2 Ice God clan Great Rulers head-on. Heavenly Prison Thunder Emperor? Long Yu's heart stirred. He had heard from the Holy Emperor or someone else that the Heavenly Prison Thunder Emperor was an expert from the Bitterwalker Alliance who went to the 9 Serenities realm to train. However, he had not seen him since they parted ways. He did not expect to see him again here. However, Long Yu was not sure if the familiar figure was the Heavenly Prison Thunder Emperor. Therefore, he signaled to Red Oriole and let her return to his inner world. As for Long Yu, he instantly turned into nothingness and ran towards the familiar figure. During this period of time, Red Oriole had killed nearly 23rd-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan, and the divine runes in Long Yu's body were basically used up. Even the hundreds of siphon totems that he had stored were all exploded to replenish his energy. Turning into nothingness consumed too much energy during the battle. Long Yu could not hold on for much longer. However, it would not be a problem for him to do it a few more times. Very quickly, Long Yu quietly appeared behind the familiar figure. At this moment, the figure was fighting against 2 second-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan. Although the figure was only a first-level sovereigns, he had completely suppressed the 2 second-level sovereigns of the Ice God clan. The figure's entire body was shrouded in purple lightning. It was the familiar power of the absolute beginning divine lightning that Long Yu had seen before. He had also used the Book of Shadows to transform into this power and dodge the opponent's attack. That was during the competition between the strongest Emperor Realm experts. Now, the absolute beginning divine lightning that the figure displayed was thousands of times stronger than before. The sound of thunder could almost explode the void. The 2-second level sovereigns of the Ice God clan couldn't even get close to the figure. Chapter 1230. That familiar figure was facing 2-second stage sovereigns by himself. He had already used almost all of his strength. Facing this sudden attack from a foreign race, he had no way of blocking it. At this time, a blood-colored figure appeared beside him. Countless blood-colored whip shadows danced in the air, instantly shattering the terrifying icicles and resolving the fatal crisis that the figure had encountered. The blood-colored whip shadows that suddenly appeared obviously came from Red Oriole. However, Long Yu also appeared with Red Oriole. Kill! Red Oriole didn't hesitate and continued to use her techniques. The 6 demonic blood wings on her back turned into 6 sharp blood-colored blades, directly killing the 2-second stage sovereigns. Just like that, the figure that Long Yu felt to be familiar with, the heavenly prison Thunder Emperor, finally had the time to look back. When he saw Long Yu's figure, he couldn't help but be stunned. "Little brother Long, why are you here?" That person cried out in surprise, looking as if he couldn't believe it. When Long Yu saw the person's face, he discovered that it was indeed the heavenly prison Thunder Emperor who had suddenly disappeared. He couldn't help but feel a little happy. "Senior Thunder Emperor, it really is you. Now is not the time to chat." Red Oriole, who was beside him, covered her mouth and laughed softly. She casually waved her small hand, and the blood-colored whip shadows swiftly lashed out, completely shattering the physical bodies of the 2 ice gods that had gotten close to her. "Survive. We'll chat after this mission is over." The heavenly prison Thunder Emperor's crisis was temporarily resolved. Moreover, he saw Long Yu again. He could see that Long Yu and Red Oriole's relationship was pretty good, so he immediately felt a lot more at ease. He laughed loudly, and his body flickered with lightning as he turned around and killed his way in another direction. Long Yu nodded his head. Seeing the Heaven Prison Thunder Emperor turn around and enter the battlefield again, he did not chase after him to ask anything, because he knew very well that it was indeed not the time to chat. Since he had met the Heaven Prison Thunder Emperor here, as long as both sides survived, there would be plenty of time to chat later. The number of ice gods on the battlefield continued to decrease. At this time, Red Oriole was free. She had already slaughtered most of the 3rd phase great sovereigns of the ice god race. There were still a dozen or so 3rd phase great sovereigns left. When they saw that Long Yu and Red Oriole were able to sneak up on them, they gathered together in 2s and 3s. In this way, Red Oriole and Long Yu wouldn't be able to launch a sneak attack on them. This kind of sneak attack could only come to an end. However, immediately after, Long Yu and Red Oriole came up with a new plan. Long Yu brought Red Oriole and quietly concealed their figures. While the 3rd phase great sovereigns of the ice god race were on high alert, they suddenly appeared on the other side of the battlefield. Here, Lei Han was facing off against 6 4th phase great sovereigns of the ice god race. Neither side could do anything to the other. These 4th phase great sovereigns were practically the strongest experts of the ice god race. Apart from the 2 5th phase great sovereigns, these 4th phase great sovereigns were the strongest combat power. Red Oriole suddenly appeared here because she wanted to cooperate with Lei Han to kill these 4th phase great sovereigns. Once Lei Han's combat power was released, the other ice god race members present would have no chance of survival. However, Red Oriole could at most deal with 3rd phase great sovereigns. She couldn't do anything to powerful existences like 4th phase great sovereigns. Therefore, she and Long Yu appeared together completely to interfere with these 4th phase great sovereigns. Their main goal was to rely on Lei Han to kill them. Netherworld, True Soul. Origin Intimidation. Long Yu appeared from nothingness and directly released his origin energy. The boundless aura of the netherworld true soul descended with a loud rumble, directly enveloping the 6th phase great sovereigns of the ice god race. Now that Long Yu had used this move, it was obvious that he was going to expose it to the ice god race. However, this was something that couldn't be helped. In order to quickly eliminate these ice god race members, exposing 1 or 2 moves was no big deal. However, even though Long Yu's origin intimidation was very tyrannical and could affect 4th phase great sovereigns, it was still too difficult to completely intimidate them. At this moment, when Long Yu used this origin intimidation method, it actually only slightly confused the 4th phase great sovereigns. It wasn't even able to make them enter a state of intimidation. Moreover, one of the 4th phase great sovereigns of the ice god race was still completely awake. Long Yu's origin intimidation actually didn't have the slightest effect on it. However, immediately after, Red Oriole also used her technique. A wave of blood color suddenly enveloped the entire area. Innate divine ability, blood realm, illusion world, accompanied by the terrifying aura of the demon blood 6 wings, immediately enveloped the 4th phase great sovereigns. The terrifying and bloody blood-color divine runes were going to drag them all into an illusion. The two's coordination could be said to be complementing each other. Although their techniques didn't have much of an effect on these 4th phase great sovereigns, their combined strength was still able to greatly disrupt them. And all Lei Han needed was that instant. When he saw Long Yu and Red Oriole appear, Lei Han already knew what they wanted to do. Therefore, when Long Yu and Red Oriole made their moves, Lei Han didn't hesitate to use his killing move. In just half a breath's time, a bolt of deep purple lightning, several dozen meters thick, coiled around Lei Han's body and exploded with unparalleled destructive power, directly blasting towards one of the ice god race's 4th phase great dominators that were the most deeply affected. This was Lei Han's killing move. It was a grade 2 god array. With his strength as a 5th phase great sovereign, it was easy for him to kill a 4th phase great sovereign. Previously, these 4th phase great sovereigns were only defending together. They didn't hope to kill Lei Han, they just wanted to trap him. But now that Red Oriole and Long Yu had appeared, their formation was immediately disrupted. The only ice god who was still conscious was the 4th phase great ruler of the ice god race. He wasn't affected by Long Yu's origin true spirit, nor was he affected by Hong Oriole's blood realm, illusion realm. At this moment, he took the initiative to condense several layers of ice barriers in front of the ice god race being attacked by Lei Han. He wanted to help defend. Unfortunately, it was impossible for it to block Lei Han's attack on its own. The several layers of ice barriers were directly shattered by the thick purple lightning. Then, the thick lightning landed on the body of an ice god race that was in a daze. The hexagonal ice crystal body instantly exploded. Under the bombardment of the deep purple lightning, it instantly turned into countless fragments. The power of the ice divine characters completely exploded and dissipated into the surrounding void of the space-time passageway. A 4th phase great sovereign of the ice god race had finally been killed. However, it was only for a short moment. The other 5 4th phase great sovereigns of the ice god race had already woken up. They all stared at Long Yu and Red Oriole. With their tyrannical strength, if they wanted to deal with Long Yu and Red Oriole, they could practically be killed in the blink of an eye. However, Lei Han obviously wouldn't give them the chance to attack Long Yu and Red Oriole. Moreover, what made the ice god race feel even more despair was that an ice spear suddenly pierced out of the void and directly pierced into the body of an ice god race 4th phase great sovereign. Then, the ice spear stirred and pierced the ice god race 4th phase great sovereign into pieces. There were others who had come over to help. Red Oriole and Long Yu were somewhat surprised. They looked in the direction of the ice spear and saw a white-clothed man holding an ice spear 10 meters long appear in the void. This person was one of the leaders of the Bitter Walker Alliance's operation. He was also a 5th phase great sovereign like Lei Han. This white-clothed man had originally been fighting against a fifth phase great sovereign from the ice god race. But as far as the eye could see, the fifth phase great sovereign was nowhere to be seen. He had actually been killed by this white-clothed man without even realizing it. It was the same ice god characters, but this white-clothed man's ice god characters exuded a biting cold and murderous aura. It was even more tyrannical and penetrating than the ice god race's ice god characters. I thought I could open up the situation with Lei Han, but I didn't expect the Bitter Walker Alliance to be so strong. This guy killed his opponent by himself. Long Yu looked at the white-clothed man and thought deeply in his heart. However, the white-clothed man didn't notice Long Yu. To the white-clothed man, even Red Oriole was nothing, let alone Long Yu. It wasn't that the white-clothed man looked down on others. It was just that the only thought in his mind was to slaughter the ice god race. He chose to ignore everything else. Clean up, the white-clothed man said indifferently. The 10-meter-long ice spear in his hand danced again. Endless ice god characters with biting, cold, murderous aura whistled through the air and formed countless ice spear shadows that attacked the remaining fourth phase great sovereigns from the ice god race. Lei Han didn't stay idle either. He cooperated with the white-clothed man and used a tyrannical technique. Deep purple lightning exploded around his body. Together with the countless ice spear shadows, the fourth phase great sovereigns from the ice god race were completely annihilated. The two strongest fifth phase great sovereigns finally dealt with their respective opponents. They were freed up and began to clean up the other ice god race members in the surroundings. With the help of over 100 people led by Lei Han, the members of the Bitter Walker Alliance didn't fear the nearly 1,000 ice god race members at all. What happened next was simple. No ice god race member could stop Lei Han and the white-clothed man. The two of them only needed one move to kill a few ice god race members. Then, they would move on to the next location and deal with the other ice god race members. In the short time it took for an incense stick to burn, most of the ice god race members had been wiped out. Only the last fifth phase great sovereign ice god race member was left. He was relying on his extremely tough body to hold on. Chapter 1231. At the entrance of the space-time tunnel near the Demon Clan's territory, it finally quieted down. All the ice gods had been killed by them. However, among the crowd, there were many casualties. More than 30 experts died, most of which were reinforcements brought by Lei Han. From this, it could be seen that the combat power of the Bitter Walker Alliance was much stronger than that of the ordinary mercenaries. Even if they were all at the same level, the great rulers of the Bitter Walker Alliance were much stronger than the ordinary great rulers, such as the Heavenly Thunder Emperor. Moreover, although there were more than 800 ice gods this time, there were only 300 great sovereigns among them. These ice gods were just a miscellaneous army. They didn't have strong organization and combat power. At the last moment, many ice gods chose to self-destruct when they saw that the situation was not good, which caused a lot of losses to the team. Everyone, we have won for the time being, but does not mean that the space-time tunnel is safe. The young man in white, who was the leader of the Bitter Walker Alliance, returned to the crowd and said coldly, "The space-time tunnel usually lasts for 3 days. During these 3 days, we must guard here. The Ice God clan will definitely send a regular army here. When that time comes, it will be our real battle." As soon as this was said, many people who had just enjoyed their victory calmed down. Indeed, the space-time tunnel could last for 3 days. Before the space-time tunnel disappeared, the Ice God clan would definitely make a lot of big moves. They would not give up just like that. It should be known that the construction of the space-time tunnel was not simple. How could the Ice God clan accept wasting it like that? I need to send some people to the front to investigate. Anyone who is confident can sign up with me. The young man in white looked around and said indifferently, "Maybe some people do not know me, but it does not matter. After this time, as long as you can survive, you will not forget my name." These words were a bit arrogant, but this person was strong enough to say such words. Just like Lei Han, He immediately became the temporary leader of the group as soon as he revealed his identity. Now, this white-clothed young man's strength was definitely not inferior to Lei Han's. Moreover, he was the leader of the Ascetic Alliance. His status and prestige were probably even higher than Lei Han's. His name is Baiyu. He has an extraordinary status in the Bitterwalker Alliance. It is said that he is about to break through to the 6th phase Great Ruler Realm. Most importantly, he is still very young. Maybe he will step into the demigod realm in the future. Red Oriole whispered to Long Yu next to Long Yu. Upon hearing this, Long Yu nodded his head. In the previous battle, he could see that the combat strength of this white-robed youth was slightly stronger than Lei Han. Furthermore, he was an important figure in the Bitterwalker Alliance. From this, it could be seen that his martial arts talent was definitely heaven-defying. Who would have thought that they would meet such a big figure in this army mission? Lei Han and White Oriole. White Walker Alliance, White Oriole and White Oriole, White Oriole, White Oriole and White Oriole, Oriole and White Oriole Alliance. As for Master Ho Zun and the other two, they were already inspectors in the Alliance, equivalent to the upper echelons of the Alliance. Logically speaking, Long Yu is only a 5-star emperor. It was impossible for him to come into contact with these people. However, because he was with Red Oriole, he had seen these super experts in advance. This was a bit of a motivation for Long Yu's martial Dao. Long Yu was quite proficient in scouting missions. Therefore, he decided to participate in it. However, before White Oriole confirmed the candidates for the reconnaissance mission, 3 members of the Bitterwalker Alliance suddenly appeared at the entrance of the space-time tunnel. It was the 3 who had left with the fierce fire talismans. These 3 people brought good news to everyone. It turned out that they had just sent the fierce fire talismans to the battlecruiser Fortress and conveyed the relevant information about the space-time tunnel to the upper echelons of the battlefield army. Therefore, the battlefield army issued a new mission to those who were still here. Defend until the battlefield army arrives. In less than 6 hours, the regular army of the battlefield army will arrive at the space-time tunnel and defend this space-time tunnel. Before that, everyone must defend the space-time tunnel no matter what. If we fail to defend the space-time tunnel, we will face the invasion of the Ice God clan into the demon territory. It will be difficult to stop them. When this mission was issued, everyone's expressions turned solemn. However, deep down, they heaved a sigh of relief. The battlefield army issued a mission, which meant that they didn't need to defend here for 3 days. They only needed to defend for 6 hours. Although it was still very difficult, the difficulty was greatly reduced. Moreover, the battlefield army issued a mission. As long as they survived and completed the mission, they would be rewarded handsomely when they returned. It was difficult for them to defend the space-time tunnel for 6 hours, but it wasn't impossible. Everything depended on how fast the Ice God clan would act. It would be best if the Ice God clan sent some people to probe. That way, it would be much easier for them to guard for 6 hours. However, if the Ice God clan directly sent the regular battlefield army to attack, it wouldn't be so easy for them to defend for 6 hours. 10 people scout, 100 people set up formation traps. Make arrangements along the way. No mistakes. The young man in white, Baiyu, immediately began to make arrangements after receiving the order from the battlefield army. There were still 80 people left under Lei Han's command. Baiyu couldn't command them, and he didn't want to command this miscellaneous army. Therefore, Baiyu only arranged for the people of the Bitterwalker Alliance. The arrangement of the array traps could effectively slow down the enemy's advancing speed. In a race against time like this, it was the most effective method. In any case, their mission was only to defend the next 6 hours. There was no need to fight the enemy head-on. I'll go scout as well. At this time, Long Yu volunteered himself and suggested going out to scout. He still wanted to properly explore the space-time tunnel and see if he could discover anything. In any case, he had rested for a while and could turn into nothingness for a long time, so there shouldn't be any problems in terms of safety. Go! Lei Han and Baiyu both nodded and agreed to let Long Yu go scout. Lei Han believed in Long Yu's strength and knew that he wouldn't be in danger. Moreover, perhaps Long Yu could bring them some surprises. After all, this kid had already given them too many surprises. Bai Yu didn't care. In his opinion, a 5-star emperor's usefulness in this kind of battlefield was negligible. Of course, in the chaotic battle just now, he had seen Long Yu and Red Oriole's cooperation, but he didn't know that the ability to turn into nothingness was Long Yu's. He thought that it was Red Oriole's own strength, and that Long Yu was just watching from the side. Although Bai Yu was cold, he wasn't a bad person. In fact, he was quite easy to talk to, so Long Yu didn't say anything else. He left the group alone and headed towards a certain direction in the depths of the space-time tunnel. There were also 10 other scouts from the Ascetic Alliance, heading off in different directions and quickly concealing themselves. Even Red Oriole would find it difficult to discover any traces of these scouts. It could be seen that the Ascetic Alliance placed great importance on scouting. There were many secret martial arts that could enhance their concealment abilities. Among the crowd at the entrance of the space-time tunnel, the Heavenly Thunder Emperor's figure was impressively among them. When he saw that Long Yu had left the group alone to scout, he couldn't help but frown. However, after thinking about it carefully, his eyebrows relaxed. Instead, he smiled and thought to himself, I didn't expect this kid to have grown to such a level. He even became the man of the princess of the Blood Demon clan. This is really surprising. It seems like it won't be long before this kid's strength grows to a level that will shock everyone. If that's the case, it's about time to tell him about his father, Long Zhaitian. At this time, the Heavenly Thunder Emperor didn't know that Long Yu was also thinking about him. Back in the Divine Battle World, this Heavenly Thunder Emperor was clearly only at the Emperor Path Secret Realm. He was at the Emperor Realm and fought against Long Yu in the strongest Emperor Realm competition. But after not seeing him for such a short period of time, how did this Heavenly Thunder Emperor become a great ruler? Although he was only a level 1 great ruler, wasn't this speed of improvement a bit too fast? After all, a great ruler wasn't an ordinary ruler. Even after reaching the ruler's secret realm, there were still 3 levels to improve: lower ruler, middle ruler, and upper ruler. When Long Yu was in the Emperor realm, he was now only a 5-star emperor. The Heavenly Thunder Emperor was also in the Emperor realm back then. How could he suddenly become a great ruler? Unless there was only one possibility, and that was that the Heavenly Thunder Emperor was hiding his strength back then. And this was related to why the Heavenly Thunder Emperor wanted to go to the Divine Battle World. It was probably related to something in the Ascetic Alliance. Unfortunately, Long Yu didn't know anything about the Ascetic Alliance, so he naturally couldn't guess more. If I want to know the truth and find out about my father, it seems that I can only wait until the matter of the space-time tunnel is over, then go out and have a good talk with the Heavenly Thunder Emperor. This talk should have been done back in the Divine Battle World, but it has been delayed until now. I don't know why the Heavenly Thunder Emperor left without saying goodbye, Long Yu thought to himself. Then he shook his head and focused his attention on investigating. He didn't turn into nothingness right now. Instead, he was only using the balance control secret technique that he had cultivated up to the 8th level to hide his presence and use the shadow kill technique to turn into a shadow. Under such circumstances, it would be very difficult to find his traces if one didn't sense carefully. After a rough estimation, under the concealment of balance control, only a level 4 ruler would be able to detect his presence. If he turned into nothingness, even a level 5 ruler wouldn't be able to detect him. Chapter 1232. In the space-time tunnel, Long Yu used the balance control secret method to hide himself. He kept flying toward the Ice God clan's territory, exploring the surroundings along the way. Red Oriole did not seem to be worried about his safety when he set off alone, but in fact, it was not that she was not worried. She just trusted Long Yu. Moreover, Red Oriole was very clear that if Long Yu encountered a situation where he could not escape, then in that case, even if she was by Long Yu's side, she would not be able to help. Long Yu didn't intend to stay outside for too long. He just wanted to check out the situation of the space-time passageway. He wanted to feel the power of the absolute beginning 5 elements within the space-time passageway. It might be helpful for his future cultivation. After all, the space-time passageway wasn't easy to construct. After this, he might not be able to see the space-time passageway for a long time. Naturally, he couldn't miss this opportunity. At this stage, the warriors of the Ice God clan who were sent to explore the space-time tunnel had all been killed, and the other Ice God clan members had not entered this space-time tunnel, so the entire space-time tunnel looked a little empty. But this did not mean that the entire space-time tunnel was not dangerous. Long Yu quietly moved forward and found that the space-time tunnel was a shuttle-shaped space. The two entrances were relatively narrow, but the central space was still very wide. The previous scuffle between the Bitter Walker Alliance and the Ice God clan's miscellaneous army had been carried out in the space near the entrance of the Demon Clan. They had not yet reached the widest part of the space-time tunnel. Long Yu was now moving forward, not walking in the middle of the space-time tunnel, but along the edge of the space-time tunnel. He found that at the edge, he could feel the power of the 5 elements more deeply, which was more beneficial to him. And if the Ice God clan was sent in, hiding at the edge would also reduce the probability of being discovered by the other party. At this point, I have already stepped into the center of the space-time tunnel. If I go further, I will be closer to the direction of the Ice God clan's territory, and the danger will increase greatly. Long Yu paused for a while in the vast central space of the space-time tunnel, but then he continued moving forward. He felt that because this space-time tunnel was created and connected to the territory of the Ice God clan, the closer he got to the other end, the stronger the power of the 5 elements of Genesis was. Although Long Yu couldn't comprehend the power of the 5 elements at the beginning, it wouldn't hurt to comprehend it more. Moreover, if he moved forward, he would be able to detect the movements of the Ice God clan first and make corresponding responses. Therefore, Long Yu continued to move forward along the edge of the space-time tunnel. He didn't know if there were other spies from the Ascetic Alliance nearby, but he had to continue moving forward. This time, he didn't go too far. He suddenly discovered that outside the edge of the space-time tunnel, there was a different light in the thick 5-colored energy whirlpool of the Genesis 5 elements. That light seemed to be a combination of the 5-colored energy of the 5 elements of Genesis. Together, they formed a crystal-like object that was motionless in the 5-colored energy whirlpool of the 5 elements of Genesis. However, the radiant crystal was constantly changing its shape. The color on its surface was constantly changing, and its shape was constantly changing. This thing was very similar to something that Red Oriole had told him about before, the primordial origin. Before the power of the 5 elements of Genesis was born, it was the origin of Genesis. The origin of Genesis had been changing color since it was born, and it would transform into the power of the 5 elements of Genesis in a short period of time. It was extremely rare. Most importantly, the origin of Genesis was very difficult to preserve. Even if it was placed in the deadliest small world, it wouldn't last more than 7 days. Therefore, it was very difficult to obtain the origin of Genesis. Originally, Red Oriole had told Long Yu that there was a high possibility of encountering the origin of Genesis in the space-time tunnel. However, Long Yu didn't expect that he would actually encounter it. Since he had encountered it, he couldn't miss this opportunity. However, Long Yu wouldn't recklessly rush forward to take the primordial source. It must be known that the primordial source was located at the edge of the space-time tunnel. Long Yu hadn't forgotten that there was a boundless and chaotic energy of the 5 elements at the edge of the spatial passageway. If he were to carelessly step into it, then with his cultivation, only death would await him. Not to mention Long Yu. Even Red Oriole wouldn't have any chance of survival if she were to enter it. Therefore, it was still very difficult for Long Yu to obtain the origin of Genesis. Primordial shadows go. Long Yu directly condensed 10 primordial shadows and sent them flying towards the edge of the space-time tunnel. However, he soon discovered that as soon as the primordial shadows came into contact with the power of the 5 elements of Genesis outside the space-time tunnel, they were directly drowned into nothingness. Not a single trace of them was left, and Long Yu immediately lost his perception of the primordial shadows. So powerful? Let's try this. Long Yu frowned slightly. Although he had a premonition that this would happen, such a tricky situation still made him feel a little pressured. Next, he displayed his sixth innate magic ability and condensed a ninth Nether Hunter. With two machetes in its hands, it directly flew towards the edge of the space-time tunnel. Very soon, something that surprised Long Yu happened. Originally, he thought that the ninth Nether Hunter would be drowned into nothingness by the power of the 5 elements of Genesis as soon as it left the space-time tunnel. But he didn't expect that the ninth Nether Hunter would actually be able to move forward calmly in the power of the 5 elements of Genesis. Simply put, the power of the 5 elements of Genesis didn't cause too much of a fatal effect on the ninth Nether Hunter, and it was just constantly eroding the ninth Nether Hunter. According to this rate, the ninth Nether Hunter would be completely obliterated in around 3 breaths of time. However, this was already an outcome that surprised Long Yu. He didn't expect the ninth Nether Hunter to have such a peculiar effect, and he couldn't help but think of his other innate magic abilities. Putting aside the previous 4 innate mystic arts, it was the 5th innate mystic art, the Book of Dark Shadows, that made Long Yu stand out from the masses. With the Book of Dark Shadows, he was able to transform into nothingness, which allowed his concealment ability to become as strong as it was now, creating the current Long Yu. As for the 6th innate magic ability, it was the ninth Nether Hunter. Previously, he didn't think that this magic ability was powerful, but he didn't expect to discover something special about the ninth Nether Hunter in the space-time tunnel. It wasn't the 2 machetes of the ninth Nether Hunter that were special. The real special thing was that the ninth Nether Hunter seemed to be able to pass through some rather special environments, such as the 5 elements of Genesis outside the space-time tunnel. In fact, Long Yu didn't expect such a situation at the beginning. He only displayed the ninth Nether Hunter out of insurance, and he wanted to give it a try. If it didn't work, he had prepared various other methods to strive to obtain the primordial origin. However, he didn't expect the ninth Nether Hunter to have already made progress. But unfortunately, the ninth Nether Hunter that could persist for 3 breaths of time was still unable to reach the location of the primordial origin. In 3 breaths of time, the ninth Nether Hunter could advance a distance of 30 meters in the 5 elements of Genesis vortex. But the primordial origin was over 60 meters away from the edge of the space-time tunnel. This stumped Long Yu. He condensed 3 ninth Nether Hunters in a row. But without exception, they could only advance a distance of 30 meters before they were completely devoured by the 5 elements of Genesis vortex. Moreover, he used various defensive methods, such as Death Chi, Death Armor, etc., in order to allow the ninth Nether Hunter to persist for a while longer, but he discovered that it was impossible. Apart from a ninth Nether Hunter itself, any other force that entered the 5 elements of Genesis vortex would be immediately annihilated. It was impossible for the ninth Nether Hunter to persist for more than a blink of an eye. Is there no other way? Perhaps the fundamental solution is to improve the strength of the ninth Nether Hunter. Currently, the innate mystique of the ninth Nether Hunter is only an Imperial mystique. If I can improve it to an Emperor mystique, perhaps I can obtain the primordial origin. Long Yu thought to himself. However, he did not have the opportunity to improve his martial arts realm, mainly because he did not have enough creation items for him to absorb the power of creation. When fighting with the Ice God clan, he obtained many creation items from the Ice God clan, but Long Yu did not keep those creation items with him. Instead, he gave them to Red Oriole. Although those creations might not be able to help me improve, there are still many experts from the Demon Clan and the Human Clan at the entrance of the space-time tunnel. They might have many creations with them. If I absorb all of them, it's not impossible for me to become a 6-star Sovereign Emperor. In that case, Long Yu could improve the ninth Nether Hunter to an Emperor Mystique. At that time, perhaps the ninth Nether Hunter could obtain the primordial origin. Long Yu had spent about half an incense stick's worth of time to travel from the space-time corridor's entrance to this place. If he went back and forth, It would take him another incense stick's worth of time. Compared to 6 hours, it was nothing. I've decided. I'll go back first and try to improve my martial arts realm. The primordial origin is too important. I must not give it up. Long Yu thought to himself and made a decision. After all, he did not have much impact on the overall situation. It was better to focus on things that could improve himself. It was more in line with Long Yu's interests. The key was that it would not affect the overall situation anyway. It was just convenient. Therefore, after making this unexpected discovery, Long Yu began to turn around and return to the entrance of the space-time tunnel. He was ready to get some creation items from Red Oriole and find a way to get more creation items to try to rush to the 6-star Emperor's cultivation realm. Chapter 1233. Long Yu didn't know when the Ice God race would send experts into the space-time tunnel, but he was sure that it wouldn't be long before the experts from the Ice God race arrived. Therefore, he had to seize all the time he had. He used the path of the 9 underworlds as fast as he could and used the path of the 9 underworlds, which allowed him to travel through the space-time tunnel and teleport forward. This was something that ordinary martial cultivators could not do at all. This made Long Yu even more certain that the last 3 innate techniques he had were extremely powerful, and they would be his greatest advantage against others in the future. There is no need to mention the Book of Shadows, which could allow him to transform into nothingness. Even with his current cultivation of a 5-star Emperor, he could hide from the senses of ordinary sovereign secret realm experts. If Long Yu's cultivation increased and he stepped into the sovereign secret realm, no one in the world would be able to detect him. The 9 Nether Hunter could replace Long Yu and travel to places that ordinary people couldn't reach. For example, outside of the space-time tunnel, in the middle of the vortex of 5 elements energy. The last one was the path of the 9 Nether. No matter what kind of environment he was in, he could create a path of 9 Nether, allowing Long Yu to pass through it in an instant. Even in places where space divine characters couldn't be used, he could still teleport. These 3 innate techniques were Long Yu's most precious treasures, and they were treasures that no one could take away from him. After half an incense stick's time, Long Yu finally returned to the entrance of the space-time tunnel. He saw Baiyu, Lei Han, Red Oriole, and the others still standing guard at their posts. Among them, there were hundreds of experts from the Ascetic Alliance who were setting up spell formations and traps along the way. If the Ice God clan's army arrived, they would be stopped by these spell formations. The more traps they set up, the more time they could delay the arrival of the Ice God clan's army and reduce their losses. Long Yu didn't participate in the setting up of the traps. He directly returned to Red Oriole and the other side. At this time, Red Oriole was discussing battle tactics with Lei Han and the others. When they saw Long Yu return, they couldn't help but feel nervous. "Little brother Long, why are you back? Has the Ice God clan appeared?" They couldn't help but be nervous. In this situation, if the Ice God clan's army appeared, they definitely wouldn't be able to resist. So they didn't want to hear such bad news. However, Long Yu waved his hand and smiled. "No, I came back for some personal matters. I feel that I'm not far from the 6-star Emperor, so I came back to attempt a breakthrough." Red Oriole, do you still have those creations? In the previous battle, I obtained a lot of creations from the Ice God clan. They're still in my small world. Take a look. Is it enough for you to break through? When Red Oriole heard Long Yu's words, her eyes involuntarily lit up. After such a long time, Long Yu was finally going to break through realms again. It really wasn't easy. Immediately after, Red Oriole sent Long Yu into the small world and displayed all the creations in front of Long Yu. There were so many creations, but none of them had reached the Mystic Jade level. They were all only Yellowstone level creations. Although there were many first-grade and second-grade creations, overall, they weren't as useful as a third-grade Mystic Jade level creations. This made Long Yu a little disappointed. These creations alone weren't enough for him to break through to the 6-star Emperor. It seemed like he had to think of other ways. Absorb these creations first. I'll think of a way for you. There must be something that you want to break through now. I won't disappoint you. Don't worry. Red Oriole said to Long Yu with a smile. Then, she left the small world alone and went to the outside world. She definitely wanted to ask Long Yu for some creations, but Long Yu didn't know who she was going to ask for them from in the outside world. No matter what, she would owe him a favor, right? If it were any other time, Long Yu would rather break through later than let Red Oriole do this and owe others a favor. However, it was related to the extremely rare primordial source now. If he couldn't break through, he would completely miss out on the primordial source. Therefore, Long Yu gritted his teeth and didn't think too much. He directly followed Red Oriole's instructions and began to absorb the Yellowstone-level creations in her small world. Although these creations didn't contain much creation power, they could still promote Long Yu's breakthrough. In addition to the effect of the Void Spirit Dragon Blade, Long Yu could absorb all the creation power without any wastage. As the materials used to refine the Void Spirit Dragon Blade included the 9 Underworlds Dragon Mark on Long Yu's chest, the 9 Underworlds Dragon Mark could absorb all the spirit chi of heaven and earth in elixirs and provide it to Long Yu to absorb without any wastage. This was the most fundamental reason why Long Yu was superior to ordinary people. His martial arts realm improved much faster than others. It was the same now. Even for creations, the Void Spirit Dragon Blade could absorb all the creation power within and send it to Long Yu's body for him to absorb without any wastage. If it was an ordinary cultivator, it would be difficult to absorb all the creation power within the creations. Even a genius like Red Oriole with the best cultivation talent could only absorb 60 to 70% of the creation power within the creations. However, Long Yu could use the Void Spirit Dragon Blade to absorb all of it. This was the biggest reason why Long Yu refused to give up on the Void Spirit Dragon Blade. It was the transformation of the 9 Underworlds mark after he came to this world, and it was the reason why he could reach where he was today. Otherwise, he would still be an ordinary cultivator in the Shenwu world. He wouldn't have been able to leave the 9 Underworlds realm so quickly and come to this rich and colorful world filled with alien races. Let's break through. Long Yu continued to absorb all the creation power within the creations through the Void Spirit Dragon Blade. He gritted his teeth and gathered all the creation power near his dantian, fusing it with his 6th innate magic fruit. His 6th innate magic fruit was the hunter of the 9 Underworlds. A pitch-black shadow of a hunter appeared in his dantian, holding 2 pitch-black scimitars. It looked sinister and eerie, exuding a murderous aura. Endless creation power was absorbed by Long Yu and gathered on the body of the pitch-black shadow of the hunter. It strengthened its aura, and the eerie aura gradually became denser. However, it didn't take long for Long Yu to absorb all the creations Red Oriole had obtained. All the creation power was absorbed by the hunter of the 9 Underworlds magic fruit, but it wasn't enough for him to break through. It really isn't enough. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He looked a little regretful. However, the next moment, Red Oriole's petite figure suddenly appeared in front of him. She had obtained even more creations. Brother Long Yu, these creations should be enough for you to break through to the 6-star Emperor, right? Among them, there are 4 mysterious Jade-level creations, all of which are 3rd and 4th grade. The creation power contained within them is much more than the rewards you obtained in the bloody battlefield. Red Oriole said joyfully. She handed 5 creations to Long Yu. 4 of them were precious, mysterious Jade-level creations, and the last one was an extremely rare Earth Seal level 2nd grade creations. This 2nd grade Earth Seal level 2nd grade creations was given to me by Senior Leihan. He guessed that you wanted a breakthrough because you needed to. Red Oriole said with a smile. Long Yu didn't stand on ceremony. He took the 5 creations and smiled. Thank you. Actually, I found an origin of Primordium. If I can break through to the 6-star Emperor, I should be able to get the origin of Primordium. I see. Red Oriole's eyes lit up. The origin of Primordium is such a precious item that you can't miss. Hurry up and try to break through. If the Ice God Clan's army arrives, it won't be so easy to take action. Okay. Long Yu nodded. Of course, he knew this. Hence, he was the one who wanted to save time the most. The 5 creation items contained rich creation power, especially the second-grade Earth Seal grade creation item that Lei Han had provided. It was a very inconspicuous stone, but the dazzling radiance of creation power circulated on it, causing the originally ordinary stone to become an extraordinary item that cultivators flocked to. As for the other 4 mysterious jade-level creations, Long Yu didn't actively absorb them. Instead, he put them away first. He estimated that he only needed to absorb the creation power in the second-grade Earth Seal level creation to break through to the 6-star Emperor level. This was because the creation power contained in the Earth Seal level creation was too rich. It was at least 1,000 times richer than a Yellowstone level creation. Moreover, the stone that Lei Han had given him was a second-grade Earth Seal level creation. Even among the Earth Seal level creations, it was considered one of the top items. I wonder if Lei Han wants to build a good relationship with me or befriend Red Oriole. Long Yu narrowed his eyes as such a thought flashed through his mind. However, he quickly threw it to the back of his mind. No matter what Lei Han thought, he was expressing goodwill to them. They could just treat him as a friend. Anyway, Long Yu and Red Oriole could be considered an inseparable entity now. If nothing went wrong, befriending Red Oriole would be equivalent to befriending Long Yu. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Long Yu absorbed the creation energy within the second-grade Earth Seal grade creation item with all his might, condensing all the dense creation energy into the 6th innate divine ability fruit, which was the pitch-black figure of the Netherworld Hunter, causing its aura to become more and more sinister. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.